we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off-brand champion Mayday, the dog of the year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time best in show and two-time gamest in show. Going hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat and let's talk dogs.
Well, I already had. Yep.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off-brand champion Mayday, the dog of the year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time best in show and two-time gamest in show. Going hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat and let's talk dogs. Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off-brand champion Mayday, the dog of the year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time best in show and two-time gamest in show. Going hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat and let's talk dogs. Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off-brand champion Mayday, the dog of the year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, two-time best in show and two-time gamest in show. Going hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat and let's talk dogs. Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Going Hard Kennels Reloaded, the talk show. This is our inaugural show, everybody. Just want to make a big shout out to y'all for coming, all those who are already there. What's up now? Representing the Act Right. Hope I got some Act Right players in here in the house tonight. Our inaugural show going to be a lot about the dogs in the yard. But I think we want to start off with just letting you guys know that this is going to be a talk show. We're going to be strictly talking about dogs. Preparation of them, the conditioning of them, the housing of them, the history of them. We're gonna have a lot of guests coming on talking about the old days. Be good information in that stuff, guys. A lot of controversial stuff, a lot of questions. But I always thought it was interesting. So join in and let's get this thing started. I think the first thing we want to discuss today on starting off this thing is just the dog game in itself. I'm pretty sure everybody on this podcast either got some dogs or trying to get some. And that's what we're going to cover today, how we're going to get to that objective. Guys already got dogs. Y'all probably appreciate this because this is a lot of shit that y'all probably going to be seeing or have already experienced since you started your yard. That's going to be the fun thing about this. We're going to have some other days where we're going to be bringing some guests in. We'll have some days we're going to be strictly going over some featured dogs. I like to get into some of those featured dogs. Guys that got champions and grand champions that come on the show and talk about the dogs' careers and some of the other great dogs they might have. You got some guys out here that's got a couple of grand champions and champions. I want to hear from those guys. I want them guys to come on the show and talk to you guys. That's the real game, the real bulldoggers. That's the ones I'm looking for. So the first thing we're going to go into is what it is to have a yard. A yard. That kind of yard. You know what I mean? We're going to be doing that today. When we go in here and talk about these dogs in the yard, we want to make sure that everybody knows the things that we get into are also historical. These aren't things of the present, these are things of the past. So if we got any police in here that want to watch Going Hard Twin say something, yeah, you can go back in. We're going to go about 20 years, 25 years back. A lot of things, again, guys, these are all historical issues. Let's enjoy the show. First thing we're going to get into is the yard. The yard is one of the most important things that we can have discussed. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, see all them damn dogs out there, man? Look at all them dogs, man. Just want y'all to take a minute and just take a look at that shit. That's a lot of damn dogs, Lord. I want y'all to see how far back that stuff go. Now just imagine, huh? You had to walk out there every day and do that shit. That's bulldogging right there. That's bulldogging right there. Now just imagine this too. If we were to put a value on the dog, all them dogs, just value. You're gonna tell me every one of them damn dogs out there in that backyard is game as hell? You really think all them dogs on that yard been tested? Well, let's find out. Because we're gonna find out by observing our yards. Let's make a connection between that yard and your yard. One of the most important things understanding your yard would be that having a good yard or even a great yard is to truly understand that yard, the yard that you're trying to have, the yard you want. That was one of the main things that I always said about the yard was, you know, when I first started out, a sheriff took me down, because at the time I had Dobermans. They used to call me the Doberman gang. I trained dogs, so I had a lot of Dobermans, and I had them all trained, and I used to walk down the street with my Doberman gang, everybody walking side by side. Actually, my main alpha one, I used to call him Apollo. He used to have a little pistol hooked to his collar. Well, one day a sheriff saw me, and this sheriff stopped, we talked. He said, let me come by, I want to pick you up, I'm going to take you somewhere. So, okay. So we are on a Sunday morning. Sheriff comes by, he picks me up. We take this ride, and at the time I was out in Kinston, North Carolina. Sheriff takes me in, he takes me up to Wilson, North Carolina. And he takes me first to this one guy's house. When I get there, I see an array of pit bulls. Keep in mind, y'all, this is not like I've never seen a pit bull. I just had never seen a yard of pit bulls. So we get out, we meet the guy, and they're sitting there, they're talking dogs. Now he takes me around his yard. He has one one that really had me going. He had a black, all black, and had an all white head. It was a beautiful pet. And then right over there on the far end, you know, we walk over here. He say, "Hey, that's Snooty." Like, okay, I'm looking at Snooty, y'all. And I have no idea who Snooty is. So he takes me around to a lot of dogs, and then his buddy comes over. So now we had me, this guy, his name was Atlas Brewer, and then his buddy comes over. His name was James Evans. Now, y'all, this sheriff that came and got me, he's from Pittsburgh. Okay, now we're down here in Kinston. Now it's just me and this sheriff, and we over here at these two guys' house. So as they're sitting there talking, he gives us a puppy. This puppy, he says, it's off old Snooty there, his son Smeller. His name was Bruiser. That was my first pet. First dog I had, his name was Bruiser. And he was off of Smeller. I'm trying to remember the bottom side, but after we go to the dog's yard, I think I'll be able to pull it up and show you guys. 2 weeks later, I get another dog. His name is Blood, but I buy Blood. Now the next two dogs I buy from him. Don't know when I'm buying. He's just telling me, hey, these are good dogs. You can start some stuff with the dogs. Keeping in mind now, the whole time, these are dog fighting dogs, I guess. I don't really understand what I'm getting them for, but I know what they're talking about, and it was exciting, to listen to their stories, and the excitement of it, it was like right up my alley. Yeah, it definitely got me. So the next thing I got from after Blood, I got a dog named Judo. Now once I got Judo, I moved back up to Ohio. Had a family, took the Dobermans in the pits. And as I get up there, I'm going around with all these dogs, and a guy came to me and he told me about James Pope. So he said, Pope would be able to help you, man. Pope real good with dogs. He know them pits like a mud. And then go talk to him. He even took me over his house. And that's how I met James Pope. So James, I'm telling him where I was in Carolina, and then he was like asking me, what kind of, I said, I was over a guy named Atlas Brewer's house. He had a black dog with a white head. And he said, I forgot what the dog's name was, but he showed me his dog, and it was one of them dogs that I seen down at Mr. Brewer's house. So I told Pope, yeah, I got some dogs from him. And so I gave him these papers. And when Mr. Pope got those papers, he glue. He like, whoa, because of the dogs and how they were bred. Had dogs coming off got Molly B in the second generation, bred to Snooty. So, he was talking like, wow, man, you've been around some historical dog men. You was in the game. These are supposed to be some bad dogs. So that's when I started learning about the papers and, the story of what these dogs are capable of. He really broke it down to me. Now, and the whole time, y'all, I don't have a yard yet. I don't understand what the yard thing is. Remember, I'm still dealing with Dobermans, and now I have Dobermans in pits. So somebody had to go. I kept my main alpha, and I let the rest of them go. I got them out to good homes. They were trained dogs. They wasn't hard to get rid of. So now I'm going to start this yard story. The yard was one of the hardest things to start because I really didn't have an idea on how to set up chains, safety ways to make sure your dogs don't get loose, making sure, there was just so many other things that I had to learn in that process. And it was real hard for me, but I had to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? This is an example of what I call the yard when it comes to the housing of the dogs and the way it was set up. My first set of dogs was something like this when I got them. I didn't have a big plot. I had enough to put about 5 or 6 dogs out there. but it's just the plot, the way it was set up. Understanding that plot, that was the key. You know, there was a point that was made, was like, he made clear, he said, hey, look, man, Pope said, when you doing these dogs, you have to be true to yourself. You have to understand what that means. You have to be true to yourself, to not be afraid to see failure, because you're going to see a lot more failure than you're going to have success. So that's a very important thing that I learned when I started just putting dogs out on the chain. You know, I wanted to have a bunch of dogs, but I stayed wise to the dogs that I had. Now, when he was talking about, you know, being true to yourself, I mean, I started, you know, when I came in with these dogs that I got from Atlas, I had one named Solo. It was really my friend's dog, because during the time, y'all, there was a space in between there that I had Dobermans and Pits. Well, my big brother, we call him Choke, he took on the, I'm going to be the dog man, because he was like a pit itself. So it really fit his personality. He's a perfect person to have the dogs. Now, we're going to go over there and we're going to put the dogs out on the chain. You know, this is something new. You know, we had the sheriff, you know, I have to say, Sheriff Powell, you're still around there. My hat's off to you. Thanks for bringing me in. It was really funny because we really didn't understand you know, it's more than just throwing a dog out on the chain, y'all. That we found out. We were putting these little collars on them, man. Them collars was breaking. We was putting these leashes on them. These dogs was popping chains, man, you know, and it was like, you know, we didn't have the proper setup on the collar. So right off the bat, you know, Bruiser didn't last with us 8 months. We actually went into Jacksonville, and you guys would know them as the Robinsons. Yeah, we actually took Bruiser down there and smashed a two-time winner they had named Thor. Now, that might have been the same Thor that we all know of, or it could have been a different Thor. Just let me tell y'all this. Bruiser smashed him in like 21 minutes. We was crashing through the pit wall and out to outside. He hit him so hard and scratched that it knocked him through the pit wall. Pit wall fell down, and he rolled his ass all the way out the garage, shaking him up. So that was my first time, you know, watching a hunt. Very first time. It was totally amazing. I had the fever after that. That was it. It was on and popping. So I knew from the very first, you know, that was a success story. But the other sad part of it, as we were building in the yard, having this yard being built, with all these mistakes, dogs were getting off the chain. One day, Blood got off the chain and ran over there where Judo was. When he got over there, we weren't around. I said they spent maybe about, you know, somebody had called over to back then there, y'all. We didn't have cell phones. We had phones. You pick up the phone, you call the neighbor, word spread. Dog fight going on over there at Bean House. So next thing we know, we run over there. Blood looked like he had he looked like his top of his head was sitting off some, you know, like he was in real bad shape there. Well, Judo didn't look like it was too much wrong with him. Like, okay. Judo on the chain, looked like he was doing some stuff. So now we in Ohio with these dogs. And one day we started, Pope was talking about how you test dogs. You know, don't ever be afraid to pick up your dog. That's what he says. Don't be afraid. You know, you want to see what you got, you know. As soon as you start getting whooped on, don't go panic and grab. You're talking about that's enough, that's enough. You want to see your dog. You don't want to have nothing in your yard that can't stay there. You know, he put that in my head to the point where when we went and finally did one with him, oh, I caught the point. Oh, I definitely caught the point. And that point stuck with me. Okay? So as we started growing more on the yard, we started having to figure out what that chain space was and the exception and the value of that chain space. That was a very important thing, to break that yard down and then set expectations and value on every space that had a chain. That means I had to revamp my yard and put the right kind of axles down, stakes down, dog houses, shovels, total everything that I needed. You know what I mean? So that was one of the things that I set clear right off the bat. I wanted to make sure that I was feeding the right dogs. Okay? After watching Blood, my oldest biggest thing was that I had took Blood and put Judo on him to really make sure that if I wanted to keep Blood, because now I'm looking at the dogs and I'm trying to get dogs I don't want on my yard, you know, based on what he said. I wanted to make sure I had the right dog. So I put those two on together. Now I'm there to watch. As it turned out, Judo was definitely a better good dog and a bad dog. And I can say that Blood did not, even though he did not quit. That's one thing he didn't do. He did not quit. But I knew that I couldn't do anything with him. He was bred good too. He was off I know he was a son off a Smeller, a son of Smeller. I think the dog's name was Levi. And I got rid of him. So one thing I started doing right off the bat, knowing that was costing me money, I started taking dogs that I really liked and putting them on the chain. By the time I got done with that, I had a dog named Star. I had one named Solo. You know, I had a few, you know, just running out grabbing dogs thinking they all fought and did all that good stuff. And it didn't work like that. So I immediately learned that lesson. And by the time I got done, I was back down to actually 3 dogs. And with them 3 dogs, I made it clear to myself that I was gonna do these dogs here and I wasn't gonna do nothing more until I learned more. And thanks to James Polk, I did. I learned a lot of things, putting that value to them dogs. I started counting that money. You start counting that chain space out there, guys. You start counting that chain space and look at all that dog shit y'all got to rake up. You know what I'm saying? All that them dog houses you got to build, the worming, the medicine. You know, every spot has a value to it. You want to make sure that dog has that value. You know what I mean? Is this dog over here tying up my space got the value for me to be out here putting in this time every day? You know, to the exception to the rules, you got young dogs. They don't know no better. Me as a trainer know better than that. So you got to give a young dog a chance. So I wasn't talking about the little young ones I had. I was talking about them older dogs. You know, when I got down from, I went from 9 to 3 dogs. It was pretty rapidly because these were like older dogs that I thought was just gonna bring me in. You know, I ran out there grabbing me some dogs, thinking I'm gonna go ahead and just come in. I mean, that dog was trash. You know, and I think that's the part where I would have to say James had a latter part of showing me that, because now I'm doing it in a way that when I test one, I really test one. And, you know, if they don't work out, they got to go. So that was a good thing about what I was doing and what I was learning. The next thing I had to do, I had to plan my yard, you know. And in most guys understanding, you know, the yard planning, that means what you're going to do now that you got the yard. What kind of dogs we going to put on the yard? You know, some of the players, they go and get, the big players, they go and buy show dogs. You know, go right out buying match dogs. Some of the normal guys, they'll go out and buy puppies, you know. Just go out and get a couple puppies to raise. Then you got some guys, they'll pick a line or cross to start off with. Those guys are guys that's been around dog men who probably had a chance and they're trying to get their feet wet, you know. Or they can be the guy that I started out being, just a guy with some dogs. That was the only thing I had a clear fact of. What they had nothing to do with the blood, the breeding. I really didn't understand all that quite yet. So that was another main thing that I had to figure out as I was building this yard. Okay, that was one of the big things I had to do when it comes to figuring out the yard. You know, having the right kind of dog. Now that I was starting to learn the pedigree, now I want to start putting some of this pedigree stuff to test. You know, he kept on telling me how well Judo was bred, and you know, I was so anxious, I just couldn't wait. So a guy called me out, you know, and he wanted to do a dog. Now this is my first time somebody wanted to do a dog with me. Okay, he says 46 pounds. I'm all cool. Okay, I'm coming. And you know, it was funny. You know, they want to go 8 weeks. Okay. Now I don't have nobody in my ear telling me, you know, twin, do this. Twin, take the dog out and do that. Twin, go over here and do that. 'Cause I really didn't know nobody but Pope. You know, Pope wasn't telling me much. He told me enough that, you know, what I should have been taught from Atlas and James Edwards. One thing he made clear, you know, you got them dog from them. But one thing they didn't do, they didn't tell you nothing. They told you how the bread being. You probably realized you didn't know what it meant anyway. That's why they really had little much conversation with you more than Cheryl. The other thing he spoke on was, did they ever tell you anything about conditioning a dog, working a dog? No, I ain't know none of that. All I knew is I was just fighting dogs. Okay, so I go here, I'm going to use Judo. Now, I put Judo on the scale. Judo was probably about 44 pounds. I don't even think it was that much. I mean, he was fat. He was about 42, 43. But I'm putting, y'all, I bought this dog up to 40, about 45 and a half when we weighed in that night. He was like 45 and a half. And then my dude, he comes in at 46. And when I say 46, compared to my dog, this dog looked like a giant. You know, I'm like, he way bigger than our dog. Our dog is fat. Look how skinny he is. All the people come. You know, as it started off, it jumped off real fast, real quick. You know, my boy, he is getting, you know, the dog is so big, but my boy had this talent. He had a talent that he could just get out of anything. You know, he was taking this big dog for a ride, but the pressure was so hard on him, and I think the weight was so overwhelming on him. You know, he started, you know, going down. So I say it went about 37 minutes, y'all, and I picked him up. You know, and the guys was like, man, that's a bad little dog, man. But what you doing? You know, this is when I met Ohio Beach Kennels. You know what I mean? They call him OC. OC in short, Ohio Cash. I met him. That dude literally sat me down and was like, man, you know, you bought that dog in 46 pounds, man. You know what? That dog about a 34, 35 pound dog. He said, you don't know. He was like, man, you got to put that dog in condition. And I'm like, condition? What's conditioning? You know, you got to get him ready, man. Just like you see boxers, you used to wrestle, you have to get in shape, and you got to do the same thing with these dogs. You just don't run around here jumping on everybody because they got pits. You know what I mean? This is a different game that you're trying to play. And in that process, you know, he started taking me to shows. I mean, one of the first shows that he took me to was Grand Champion, I think it was Grand Champion Brunson. I think it was Fergie, and he was going in the tadpole. Great match. You know, now I'm at a real match. Now, this is my first real match that I seen, not the one I was in, but the one I seen. Great match, guys. Funny thing about it is, the guy who had tadpole, when he came in, and you know how you go into the scale and you're weighing the dog. Okay, as soon as they weigh in tadpole, the guy takes a old green bag out, and he hands it over there to Fergie, and he hands it to Fergie, and he say, you're gonna need this after the night. And he handed him the green bag. Okay, I paid real close attention because I was a symbol to me that night. I'm like, damn, he passing out that shit. But by the end of the night, you know what I mean? He ended up giving that green bag back to a dude to go ahead and put his own dog in. And that was the first thing I learned about being you know, don't do that. Don't do that. You know, that was one of the things that I learned real early after watching, because it looked stupid. You know what I mean? He passed the bag, made it seem, and in the end, he taking the same bag back to take care of his own shit. You know, so that was a little lesson for me. Two great dogs, man. You know, I don't know nothing about them, y'all. You know what I mean? That was actually my first match. But as we're moving along, the next people I meet is Roadblock up in Detroit, Saginaw. Next place I ended up going was Saginaw. And that Saginaw thing, keep in mind, guys, I'm learning the dogs. But now I'm meeting McNasty and Roadblock. And I got the first one I seen was Champion Bo. He had a dog named Champion Bo. I seen him win his championship. That was my initial meeting. And then just so happened to be on that show was this brother named Abraham. He was like, hey man, you know, because me and my twin brother, you know, we run around and we used to be, you know, I was married when I left North Carolina. You know, I got back to the AK, you know, that North Carolina life was too much. You know, she wanted to be more back down there because my wildlife up in Ohio. So, hey, that was my first wife. You'll see I went through many wives through my years of the game. But the thing was, when I was up there, as I was learning these dogs, I'm starting to know the people and the stories and the things that they're telling me. And, you know, like I was saying, me and my twin would have, you know, we had some nice wives, you know, like nice girls hanging out with us. And I think that was always the key to the guys, just bring us right in. You know, we wasn't like no wild niggas or boasty niggas. You know, we was just really some brothers out there trying to catch on. And we was in a whole new sport, but people we would run into, they sound like they knew they shit. And based on what I saw out their dogs, you know, I'm seeing real dogs. So I'm already eating off of that alone. I know what greatness looks like. I know what it looks like where, you know, you hardly ever caught me after that match right there with the 46 move. You never caught me like that off guard again. You know, I've been on great dogs, but it ain't been too many that came in there and just ran me over like I didn't have no business there. You know, because, you know, the quality that I was taught on was a quality that I kept. And that was one of those main things that I was talking about, from the puppies to the show dogs. That's a nice looking dog over there, ain't he? That's the most important thing that I want to go into when it comes to having the right dogs. You got to have the right dogs. So now I'm still with Judo, y'all. I mean, my first walk on the park was a loss. But here, the trick to it was I had a day of redemption to come. The next time out, we set up with a show up in, you know, it was in our area, but it was like close to our area. We had a show, and they had a 35-pound open. Okay, we goes in there and we get a chance to get one. At the time, y'all, I went out and bought me a Red River. You know, the Red River old treadmill. Went and got me one of them. So now I gotta learn how to put this thing on here. Now, in the process of y'all, as my adventures are going on, these dog men, if everybody, you know, like, okay, there's a BLB Kennels. Well, that L and BLB, that L, there's a friend that turned me on to Pete Sparks. I had a chance to talk to Pete Sparks. In him, I think he was a hell of a conditioner. Actually, he was one of the best conditioners, but I noticed where he was getting his learning from. He said he was getting them from Pete Sparks. So it was Pete Sparks was the guy who sat down and had, you know, he was an old man, but he was smart. And he was telling me, man, you put them dogs out there, man, you got to take them to a level. You got to always look for the edge. You know, you being a Marine, you should know what I mean. You have to improvise. You know what I mean? And so the most important thing you want to get out of your dog is you want to make sure your dog is always stronger or faster, or you have a game plan, you know, to have an edge. And the best edge to have when you conditioning your dog is to bring his stress levels to its maximum. And the only way you're gonna be able to do that is you gotta test your dog while you work your dog. Just like when you put your dog down, you have to be true to yourself. You gotta be able to say, hey, I gotta see this all the way through. You gotta take that dog to his maximum, because once they hit that wall, this is where you find out whether they're gonna stay or quit. Turn into a survival, or they still in the game. And that's where most of these dogs go to when they hit that wall. Are they now fighting for survival, or are they still fighting because they can't be beat in their head? You have some dogs that are so crazy, even though they down there getting smashed, they still think they got a chance. I had one. Amber was one of those dogs. You know, we didn't care. She was losing. That's how we caught her. We got her out of the box, running around, watching the dog just smashing on her. But you couldn't tell her that. She was not having it. Down dog still fighting hard from the bottom, you know, and that's how we ended up getting her. My friend ended up buying her out the box. And that's how we ended up with Amber. But this is what Mr. Sparks was explaining to me when I go condition the dog. He said 10 miles is the key. You gotta go, everything you do, you got to, from day one, you start off with 10 miles. It might take you a while to walk the dog, them first 10 miles, but that's okay. It might take you all night if you're gonna walk them. But if you put that dog on the meal, you wanna put that dog on the meal, and you wanna put that dog on the meal for 3 hours. You know, sometimes you wanna put him on there later than that, longer than that in the beginning, because he's not, it takes him longer to get to maximum level of conditioning to be able to get them 3 miles out the way on a slap meal in 3 hours. You know, that was the key to owning and getting the dog ready. Now, in that process, going back into that yard, you know, we're talking about the housing, the maintenance, and the caring, and the security. That was one of the other issues that I was having when I got back on the yard, as far as them explaining to me, you know, being able to keep my dogs, you know. And he was explaining to me, when you got match dogs and you're trying to raise match dogs, you gotta have everything perfect. You know, we've all seen these kind of yards. You know what I'm saying? Nice bulldog yards. Pictures are blurred for personal reasons, as far as making sure nobody can identify the yards we were looking at. But if you notice, you got barrels, you got the boxes, you got the straight wooden dog houses, and then you got the pens. The one thing I hated about those boxes was I had a hard time keeping my dogs in them boxes. You know, they're like beavers. You know, they're like beavers. They would chew wood up. You know what I mean? So me, I had to go to the style of housing with the barrels, with the plats at plats at the bottom where I could screw my dog houses in and keep them down. And then the pens, I had some built later on down the line when I ended up getting more dogs. I did end up getting some, trying the pen thing. The pen thing was nice. You know, the only problem I had with the pen thing is, you know, you spend more money keeping the dog from seeing each other, because, you know, my dogs was jumping on top of the houses, trying to get out, hanging from the top of the cages because I had them covered, and they would still jump up there and be hanging off the down top of the fence on the ceiling, hanging off of that. Just because they wanted to jump up there and hang a little bit so they could see the other dog over the wood I had. I had some crazy dogs. That was Timex. That was Satan's little mate brother I had who was doing that. Crazy ass dog. And coming to housing. Next thing would be security. Guys, I lost 20 dogs. Before even in the process, I was putting up security. You know, I lost several dogs, and then I had really put some cameras out there. My cameras didn't have audio. So one of the biggest problem I was having is the thieves were still coming out stealing my dogs because I was so far away from my home that I could not see, I could not hear when somebody was in my yard and the dog's barking. And I would still come out there and see dogs missing. You know, it was a terrible time. So one day I said, forget that. I was on 5 acres. I think I had got up to maybe, it was about 20, 30 dogs at the time. And the next thing you know, I'm down to 11 because they're hitting my yard at such a fast thing. One thing they couldn't do, they would never mess with the puppies because they was kind of afraid of my females when they were with their puppies. So they never went in my puppy pens. You know, I usually kept my puppies in an area where the mama had access if we wanted to go in and feed her puppies. And then if we wanted her to be out, we'd take her out and put her in out there in the front end of it. But she'd still be around her puppies. She just couldn't get to her puppies. But I had to put audio out there, guys. And once I got that audio out there, you know, the day came where, you know, I had redemption. You know, I caught the thief. That's a whole nother story. That's a funny story, but it's a whole nother story. Let's move on. The next thing outside of the security, because you got to protect your dogs, man. You got to protect your dogs. You know, these boys, they stealing. I mean, this game has always suffered from thieves. But the other thing that I had to get, I had to take care of my medicine. Always got the equipment, man. If you guys ain't got some of this stuff, look on that table. Take a good look on that table. If you ain't got half of that stuff, you ain't got enough. If you ain't got half that stuff, you ain't got enough. You know, you don't understand how important this stuff is. That stuff is very important. You got to have it. But you got to take a quick look at that stuff, man. Try to see what you can see, but hey, you can always Google, you know what I mean, and shop around. But look, man, that stuff comes in so handy. One thing about it, ain't nothing better than accidents happen, things happen. And ain't nothing better than to be able to take your dog, clean him up, and close up all them wounds. Man, once I learned how to clean up my dog, man, and had a place to put him away. You want to have him put away, man. You can't be having a dog all out there back on the yard. That's one of the worst things you can do. If you can't put them up, then don't do them. If you can't take care of them right then and there, well, you've got to go ahead and throw him back on the chain while you go up there and drink beer and brag about what you did. You know what I'm saying? Then, you know, eventually that little slide, she's going to come back and bite you. When dogs got to sit out on chains and in areas where they have to heal on their own, you know, without proper care, that's why those scars seem to stick there and you know, never go away. You know, they can make you look bad out there. You know what I mean? So it's a total difference when you're able to close them wounds up, put drains in where you need to put drains, and just take your time. Take the dog, give him a little bleach, iodine bath. You know what I mean? That's what I used to do. Just clean them up. And then after I cleaned them up and got all the cleaning up done, then now I'm going back through and handling each and individual things that needed attention. Things that I needed to put a drain in, you know, I put a drain in. And how did I learn this stuff? I learned this stuff from a assistant veterinarian chick. You know, she became good friends with my wife. You know, you had to get them girlfriends, okay. But she was one of them. And it just so happened that she was an assistant vet, and she was already going to school to be a vet. So she really broke it down. She taught me how to take a pressure cooker and, you know, sterilize my work tools and stuff for the dog. She taught me how to stitch a dog up. She taught me how to read worm medicine, and not that great on blood counts, but she taught me that too. Taught me how to do first aid, emergency first aid, just everything that I needed to know as far as working on a dog, you know. And she was great because she was one of them cool kind of people that I could take her to a show, you know, and after the show, guys pop up them dollars, man. You want to say that dog, guess what? You got a bad mug sitting there to do it. All the way to the point that when I learned how to do it, then she stopped doing it. And that's the truth. When she knew that I knew what I was doing, she never came to another show. She used to make some pretty good money taking care of it, putting, you know, as far as immediate care. But I got pretty good with that. And so that was one of the other things as far as taking care of the dogs, man. You know, do the same aspect on the yard. I always kept an extra crate. Say if I rode 2 dogs, I used to keep up to 10 crates, you know, for personal reasons, guys, because I used to always feel that if I had to take dogs off my yard, at times when the man is hanging around, you know, it looked like, you know, I had those black dogs back then, you know, when I was messing with Eli stuff, you know, they don't look too good on the chain all scarred up. So I used to be able to take those dogs off the yard when I see the dog catch a ride through one day in the neighborhood, then I start putting him up because sooner or later he's gonna come by my way. And that was always, and it was always the truth too. Anytime I saw him, you know, wasn't long after that he would come. They would want to come be nosy because they all knew we had dogs because I had registered my dogs. You know, I was trying to do it the right way, the rabies tags, you know, making sure that I had that stuff so when they did come, my paperwork is in order. Very important. When your paperwork in order, that gives them too much right to, you know, to be nosy. So you got to make sure that you cover that and just make sure your dogs are in an enclosure that they can't just walk up on your property and go into your yard. You know, so many of them say, oh man, they can't do that, but guess what? They do a lot of stuff that they ain't supposed to do. What you want to do is make sure that you don't make that access that easy. You know, stockade fence, and I ain't talking about the ones you can peek through the cracks. You know, you want the board stockades. Block your dogs down. Lock them down. Put security back out there on the lights and take wounded dogs or healing dogs off the yard. Have a place where you can put your dog in a crate and let them heal for it. It don't take but 7 days for proper care. They look next to new. You know what I mean? Sometimes on them real bad ones, you know, you would have to take up to 14 days to really make sure before you put them out there that they're nice and ready to go back on the chain. It's not hard. If you're going out to feed a dog, then the best thing to do on a wounded dog is have a spot you can go out there and take him out of his crate and just put him on a chain space. Put him on a chain, let him sit out there and eat, shit and piss while you do the other dogs. You know what I mean? You come back in, do half the yard, go back in, put him in. If you got another one in the yard, y'all didn't put together, you want to put them together, just go in there, put him out on the chain. You know, the operation and the key is just to make sure, you know, you get your dog, you know, keeping them off the yard for your own security. You got to have your own security to stay out the way. You know, these people will come up on your yard. And if you got a camera, you can catch them doing all that dirty shit. That's why I always say, put cameras around your yard. Sometimes you can catch them wrong. Remember, they think we're black and dumb. So, and they were white and dumb. You remember dog man. You ain't got to have a color, just understand. They're going to treat you all the same way. So, you know, you have those cameras out there, you know, see one jumping up on somebody's fence over there next door looking all in your yard. Guess what? Whatever he find in that yard, he can't even open his mouth about. You know, that is against the law for them to do that. You can't go to the neighbor's house. Hey, can I come through your yard? I want to see what that guy's going on in his backyard. Next thing you know, he's all up on a chair taking pictures of your dogs, ready to come knock on your door. You know, just letting you guys who don't know, if you catch one doing that, trust me, that's not going to happen. Just know that they're not allowed to do that. Number 2, they're not the police. Can't just let them, we coming to do a yard check. You know, on a yard check, you're going to do it with a search warrant. That's why it's always important to have your dog registered and have them up to date on their rabies. Remember, we were just talking about the value of the chain space. That's one of these things that I'm talking about. You know, when you go put money all up in that chain space, that one dog can cost you a lot of money. What kind of dog is you tying that chain space up with? Better learn that real quick, because that's going to be the decisiveness between, you know, being great or being down. Getting rid of dog shit. Getting rid of dog shit. We gotta clean up the yard. You know what I mean? You know, you gotta clean up the yard. You know, that's the main thing. You know what I mean? Gotta clean the yard up. Once you clean the yard up, then we gonna be in there. You gotta put that shit somewhere. Where y'all putting that shit at? You know? A quick thing on showing you just a quick go through them underground disposals. From chains to microscopes. We're gonna go to that there. I think we're gonna go and I think up to this point now, I'm gonna say the chains and microscopes as far as the equipment and treadmills. I'm gonna move on and let's talk about the yard. My yard now. Let's get back onto the dogs that how we acquired some of these dogs that we had. We already told you about Judo. You know what I mean? Judo was one of those good dogs. And I'm gonna see if I can put his pedigree up, y'all, and get y'all to see what the first dog I had looked like. I didn't have no pictures of him, but I think I can be able to show you what his pedigree was. Yeah, man. Another thing, fellas, when we were just before I get away from the dog shit thing, man. Look, man, that was very important. You know, I know how y'all get rid of y'all dog shit, but when you got a lot of dogs, that's a lot of dog shit. You know, every 5 dogs I had a disposal. You know, when I had them on the farm, I had every 5 dogs I had a dig down the disposal. I lived in Florida, so I didn't have really a bad freeze line. Up north, you guys got a freeze line that you have to be aware of. So you gotta always be aware of your freeze line and just make sure that you're below your freeze line, that when you put that water down in there, and I use Rite Aid to pour down in mine and dissolve the shit into liquid. It actually eats up the shit and it like melts it down, and then it all kind of works down into the bottom. Funny thing about it, man, here's the funny thing about it. If you ain't cleaning up your shit, man, I had dudes come over to my house and go, "Hey, twin, man, let me get one of your dogs, man. Come on, man, hook me up, bro." And I'd be like, "Man, I was just walking past your house the other day and smelled this house from the goddamn street. I ain't putting shit over there." You know what I mean? If I can walk down the street and smell shit coming out your backyard, then you ain't been cleaning up your shit. That's the worstest thing you're gonna get. You're gonna have the man on your ass. You're gonna have the man on your ass. You know, you over there trying to pick up a dog from me. Go clean your yard up, brother. Judo was the first one of the dog. He was the third dog that I got from Atlas Brewer. I'm gonna put his pedigree up here where y'all can see what it looked like. But yeah, he was a nice dog. I tell you, he won 2 for me. He lost his very first one, and that was my first match. And what I learned from that day, and I can honestly say from that day, and the people that I met and the venture that I went on, I was all ready to go into the dog game, y'all. I mean, I was just fortunate. I was one of those guys that had almost like what you would call free ride. You know, it was one of the with knowing McNasty, knowing the Abrahams, not really knowing who these guys was, but these guys was like everything to me, man, because they showed me so much. You know, I mean, a whole lot of talk, man. It was a whole lot of talk. This is Judo's pedigree, y'all. Judo was off a solid joint. Look at the pedigree. I'll give y'all a second to look at it. He was a bad boy. We seen him lose, but I mean, even in that loss, man, he was handling that big boy. He had a hell of a style. But this is a dog that I got, my third dog. I got 3 dogs from Atlas Brewer, but this one was my third one. This was the one I ended up keeping, and Out of all the going through the dogs, those first couple of dogs that I got, he was the one. If you look at some of those familiar names, look at them. You got Molly B, double bred Molly B, and Snooty. That's a damn near brother sister breeding. I know when I was down there, I remember going to. I met Harry Hargrove. He was one of the guys before I left. I met a guy named Mr. Triplet. At the time, Mr. Triplet was the one that had Stevenson's Big Ben. I seen that big boy. I remember when Molly B, you know, she got stolen. Yep, she got stolen. And I had a pretty good idea who the thief was. You know, I wasn't in cahoots. I really didn't know the guy, but I knew where Molly B was. I didn't really, back then, you know, I wasn't really a dog man to really understand, you know, the importance of the information that I had. I wasn't gonna never tell on him anyway. It was a brother too that stole the dog. You know, it was a brother that stole the dog. But I did see Molly again after she got stolen. And she was right down there in the Kinston area in North Carolina when she got, you know, that's where she ended up. Can't tell you what happened to her after that, but basically I knew the guy who actually took Molly B. But I don't know if they ever bred the dog. I was still young in the game. It wasn't my business. I just so happened to be real kind of, you know, I was a Marine down there. Everybody knew me, and word gets around fast in the streets. Even though, you know, I wasn't that big on dogs, you know, one of the big things about it, you know, when it came to the dog game, there was a whole lot of talk that Molly B was in Kinston. And I actually seen her one time after she got stolen to know she was there. You know, so that was an experience right there. Now, Judo, he was a head dog, and like I was telling y'all, when he won his next one, his second match was against two-time winner from the RC boys, the Sosa boys, RC and the Sosa boys. We went into a two-time winner they had named Jughead. Everybody thought, you know, we weren't ready yet, but I had did that old Pete Sparks thing with Judo. Had brought him down to 35. I learned a lot, y'all, in my conditioning. I was definitely dedicated. You know, one of the things that I always said that, you know, when I first started out doing my first keep, he told me to sit down and go get me one of the big table calendars. And you sit down and you write your keep, write your exercise, write your regimen, and let me look at it. You know, I couldn't never see him, but I could, you know, I would talk to him on the phone and tell him the things that how I wrote it down. Basically, he filled in those gaps. It taught me how to do a treadmill keep. And in that treadmill keep, everything was based on 3 hours. When you come in, the first thing you want to do from the very beginning, your maximum you want to get up to is 3 hours. And it's just how you mapped it out in the keep. You know, those 3 hours, how you going to break it up and get up to that point where you can have this dog running for a continuous 3 hours. The first thing was important that he always said is, no matter what anybody else tell you, when you put your dog on the treadmill, you try to get the most explosive work out of your dog in the first 30 minutes. I mean, I wouldn't care if his tongue is hanging out at 15 minutes. You know, in the beginning, he's going to be a real brutal attack on his body because he hasn't done it before. But that doesn't matter. As long as you see his blowout time, you write it down. You go to your calendar, and he does that first 30 minutes, and you write it down. And put a little right there. And then the next day, when you see him going to that, hitting that wall, you write it down. And what you're going to notice is you're going to see it's taking him longer and longer to hit that wall. You want to be able to push that dog so hard that you want to be ready in 2 weeks that you can take that dog off that meal and have him standing there and he's not breathing hard at all. You can literally push that dog into a full out sprint for 30 minutes and take him off that meal, and he'll stand there and don't even take a deep breath. That's the kind of success that he was talking about. When it came to feeding, I was clearly up on top of the feed because I was being taught how to feed. I wasn't using steroids yet. You know, I hadn't started using steroids, but I did use the carbo fuel and all those other things to get maximum performance out the dogs. You know, that was a key piece for me, getting maximum performance. You know, I started recognizing, because I'm still a dog trainer, started recognizing things you could do for a dog to help him. You know, one of the other things I used to do is I used to use the sleeve, and use the sleeve. I would lock my treadmill, I could lock the slats down, and I would use the sleeve while he's in there on that, between them walls. I have a nice ass sleeve that when I stick it in there for him to grab it, you know, it's that grab. When he grabbed down on it, oh, I act like I was so happy. Oh boy, good boy, good boy. But rub his head, you know what I mean? You know, push his mouth into it, like bite, you know what I mean? And rub his head, bite and rub his head. He started learning that when I called in on him to do something, he would really let me get him. You know, he just knew that what I wanted. And that was really a time spent with the dog, and the communication between me and the dog became a great development. You know, he was one of the first ones that I actually matched to the point that, you know, I knew he was ready. Went into the So-So Boys, the story they'll tell you, you know, totally same dog that we seen the first time, but now he's trained and conditioned. Trained and conditioned, y'all. This dog went out there and jumped on that head and did what he was supposed to do. He made that two-time winner look like he was, you know, he just was too much dog for him. Too much dog for him. And everybody was like, twin, y'all be the good one. Y'all be the good one. I think it went less than 30 minutes, you know, we had him out of there. You know, totally discouraged him. But what we noticed was our pace. Judo, we had a pace that, Jughead couldn't keep up with it. Jughead couldn't keep up with the pace. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't keep up with the pace. He was moving so fast, and he was a head dog, so he was like Kung Fu. He was light on his feet. You know, when he got up in that head, he got good up in the head and jaw. And he just knew how to stay out the way. He would climb up a wall, bounce around, and go all over the place. You know what I mean? Turned out to be a great dog. We won that one. Then I would have to say about another 3 or 4 months later, we took him back down into the Carolinas, and we won another one down there. We won that one in like less than 30. It was like 25 minutes. Judo was a bad dog. So when I bring him back home, he's a two-time winner. You know, I'm thinking I'm going to have my first champion. Well, got into a little incident, ended up going to jail. Somebody I saw in jail saw me in jail. You know what I mean? And I can tell you this, once they saw me in jail, Judo was gone the next day. There was 2 dogs that left my yard that time. It was Judo and Mikey, 2 of my best dogs. Mikey had just beat Legion of Doom. You know, he was real high on his dog. You know, now I'm 2-0 after my first loss. You know, I'm actually more than 2-0. I got 2 with Judo, and I won 1 with Mikey. I was 3-0. You know, so both of those dogs got stolen. Came home out of jail, both of them gone. So I basically didn't have anything. You know, it was due to my friend that got me some dogs, and the dogs he went and told me to go get, some very important dogs. You know, and these dogs right here was the start of the actual Going Hard dogs. Dog's name that he sent me on was Amber. Amber, like I told you at the beginning, Amber was brought into the game. You know, we seen her at a show. And my friend, he saw the dog, and man, she was game, man. She was just on too much of a dog. So he bought the dog out the box. Told the man, hey, you picked the dog up, I'll pay your bill. And it was Amber. Now, once I got Amber's pedigree and I started reading into it, I started reading in the Greg Lester, old Bluegrass. You know, started reading about the Wrangler dog and, you know, who Amber's father was. You know, remember, Popeton taught me a lot. So now I got journals, and I happen to have a journal with Wrangler in it. So I started reading the story about Wrangler. And after reading the story about Wrangler, I understood why Amber was the dog she was. You know what I mean? She was a good dog. And in that dog's breedings, y'all, you know, Amber was bred to termite. She was bred to some dogs before she was ever bred to Grand Champion Ace. At the time, we was trying to go out there. We was actually going to go breed her to Ivy Stevens. We're taking her down there to breed the Ivy Stevens Grand Champion. I think it was Otis we were trying to breed him to. I know it's a Grand Champion that he had on there. Might have been Otis, might have been Champion Otis. But I know that was our direction. We was headed that way. And we could not get in touch with him. We got close to him, couldn't find him. He wouldn't answer the phone. So this bitch is in full bloom heat. Me and him on the side of the highway coming to a conclusion. We got, what we gonna do? So he decides to, you know, grab a journal, look through the journal, and he picked up, you know, we saw Grand Champion Ace. Wow, Ace. Ace a killer. Because his matches were fast. So he called the phone, guess what? Supernat answered the phone. We told her we had a bitch off a Wrangler and we was trying to get her bred. He said, come on. He gave us the directions, and here we are. We headed to Supernat's yard. We get up there, Amber's dropped off. We get a chance to talk to Supernat. We leave her there. We got a chance to see Ace, did the first breeding, then we left, and then when we, you know, after the breeding, we drove back up there. Now, the story that makes it so interesting was he was a moonshiner. Well, I'm not saying that he produced moonshine. I'm just telling you he drunk moonshine. And you know, one night we were sitting there before we left it was the first night. The second night when we came back to get her, he was like, "Hey, you know I had Angus on the yard before, right?" And, you know, I done read up on Angus. You know, now I'm pretty well kind of smart in the game. I know enough about him that he talked about Angus. Yeah, you had Angus on the yard. Okay. You know, Angus was a bad dog, right? You know, he was a hell of a back end dog, just like AC. But see, AC was supposed to be on. That's what he called Grand Champion Ace. He called him AC. AC was off of Champion Charlie. Now this night he's drunk. So when he say that, I was like, you know, that night, you know, it sounded like you were saying. So it was Ace. Is Ace? I said, you know, just sitting there waiting. I said, is Ace off for Grand Champion Angus? And he didn't say nothing. You know, he was a little tipsy. He just smiled and with old shit looking grin on his face. Okay, so now it's time for us to leave, and he's giving us the paperwork. He's giving my boy the paperwork on the breeding. You know, we did all these dogs is APBT. So Supernat gives him the paper, and it says on there, you know, off for Charlie. You know, so I'm looking at the thing, and I tell my boy, hey man, you sure? You know, and he got him off of Charlie, but I could have sworn he was talking about, you know, Ace was off of Angus. You know, I didn't know. So, you know, just before we left, I said, Supernat, now you remember what you said last night? You know, is Ace really off of Charlie, or is he off of Angus? Because Ace was the back end dog, and he was a champion beater, and so was Angus. And Ace was the dark brindle dog. You know what I mean? Not taking nothing on the bottom side of Spider because she was coming by way of Zebo. You know what I mean? So I can see that, but the black brindle part was the part that kind of threw me, and knowing Charlie was red and white. You know, so you know, again, he looked at me, and he didn't say anything. He just gave me that shit looking look. But so to me, the papers had on there, the dog was off of Grand Champion Ace. The puppies would be off of Grand Champion Ace, bred to Amber. Amber had a litter. She only had 3 dogs. She had a couple of them. It was couple females. At the time, my boy had them, and he had took Amber up to the upper New York area. She was all up around, those puppies and her were up around the Buffalo area where he used to keep them, because I didn't have them at the time. You know, I had Rottweilers back then. After I told you after Mikey and Judo was taken, all my dogs were gone. So he gets in trouble, and he gives me a call one day, and he wants me to go collect his dogs. He says, hey, they're up in the New York area. He gave me instructions. So one of those dogs was, the Ace puppies. It was the Ace puppies, and that's when I had got little Mikey. I had bought, there was a dog from Millbuster. I got him. I bought him back. And when I bought all those dogs back, I took them home with me, and now I got them all. Now, he wanted me to take one down and send the Thunder. I think the kennel was Thunder Kennels down in Texas. I sent the little bitch down there. I think her name was Ace Bitch. I'm not for sure, but I think that's what her name was. I know he sent her down there to Thunder Kennels. Then I kept a brother and Red Ace, and I think there was one more, another female. And she was an older litter off of Amber, because Amber was also bred to termite. There was, I left one of those dogs up there, and I think her name was Big Mama. She was off of termite. When, old friend of mine, he had her, and then he had another old dog named Grandma, who was off of Amber. All these dogs is just seriously game, guys. So now I got Red Ace, and I bring him back to Akron. She was the second dog that I had on the yard. Now I had her, and I had her, the littermate brother. And he was a man biter, y'all. He was a man biter. You know what I mean? He would eat your ass up. He was more of a man eater than he was a bulldog. So I gave him to a friend of mine and said, hey man, sit on this dog, maybe he'll grow out of it. You know what I mean? So after he seemed to want to go, after a while, I ended up taking him back up to Michigan. When I got ready to move to, down here to Florida, I made a move and took him back up to Michigan. But up to this point here, we still on the Grand Champion Amber and Ace breeding. If y'all notice, Ace says Ace off of Charlie. If you didn't know much about Ace, Ace never went past 28 minutes, guys. He won 6 matches. Even beat, I think it was Champion Rocky off of Bruiser. I know it was a yellow dog that he beat. He was he was a stifle dog. He was a very aggressive dog. And you see the bottom side, Miss Wooly. Miss Wooly, the littermate was Champion Wooly. Some say that Miss Wooly lost to, I think it was Fat Bill. Not trying to confirm it to be on the shore, but as you see the breedings, if you look at those dogs, it looks like it's a 50-50 outcross, but it really ain't. It really ain't. Down here, when you go over here to Amber's Pedigree, let me pull Amber's Pedigree up, guys. Let me show you some stuff. Now we saw Zebo coming by way on the bottom side of Ace, right? Well, let me show you another one. You go here, and you go back down through there. If you guys recognize, you'll see it. Rosie. This is, now keep in mind, y'all, this is, we talking about, this is a all yellow John dog, but not all yellow, not all red boy. There's Rosie there. That's Zebo littermate's sister there. As you can see that breeding, y'all, that's Zebo littermate's sister. Zebo and Vindicator. Grand Champion Zebo and Vindicator. Vindicator beat two good dogs. Okay? It's not on. Now, we got another spot to go to. Just go back here. And we're going to go to the bottom side. Okay, we see the Jocko down there, right? Let's go to Chris's pit. That's Jocko bred to Pepsi Cola in them. Nice heavy Jocko cross. On the bottom side. So we see we had Zebo in there anyway, even in through all that yellow where you can look at it and say, if I said there's a Zebo cross in there, unless you knew Sassy Mead, you would have said no. If you find, if it's not Zebo, I would put it like this, it's not Zebo. It's Zebo Little Mate's sister, but you see Zebo in the blood, the bloodline of Zebo. Okay. Talk about that. Now, as we moving on, we get that Red Ace. Red Ace was a good dog. Real early, I mean, she was a slow, happy dog in the early years. We tried to put her on a couple, school dogs. Tried to school her a little bit, but she bit real nasty. And she was real quick. It says, what year was that? And what color was Judo and Mikey? Yeah, I was sure. And somebody asking me what year was that? That was early 80s. 83, 84. Judo was 83, 84, and he was a brindle dog. A little brindle dog. Mikey was red and white. He was a red dog, but he had a white saddle down the middle of his face. Badass boy too. Them was two badass dogs. Both of them come up gone. It was Judo first, and then Mikey came next. But both of them Judo was a two-time winner. Mikey was just one over the Legion of Doom before I came in and found him missing. But back on Red Ace, when she was young, we were trying to put dogs on her. I mean, when I say young, I'm talking about 18 months old. And we seen that she had a hell of a mouth. One day I decided to take her down to Carolina and see, if they have some nice dogs down there to put on. Somebody to put her to the test. And, I used to be good friends with BDK? I don't want to say his name, but his dog, he had a dog named Champion Tate. Champion Tate, he was off a Mims dog, a Red Boy dog. He was a Mims dog and Red Boy dog. He was a nice champion, red and white dog. He also had a dog named Rennie. I think Rennie was a two-time winner. She was a nice one too. She was a beautiful dog. And he had a little female off of Rennie. And boy, was she fire. Well, we're gonna put, he figured this one right here would be a good one for Red Ace, this one right here, because we tried to tell him, man, this bitch is real bad, man. And he, I got some 5-4 then. So we put him down. Man, what 9 minutes later, man, he was, man, get that bitch off that dog, man. Get that bitch off my dog. Man, I'm telling you, Red Ace, monster. I mean, she had an amazing mouth, and she was devastating in the back end. She break one down real fast in the back end. So that was we did her one more time after that. We put her on a male. You know, we're trying to put her down so we can see, you know, how her attitude is. Well, the male, she couldn't get in his back end, but she tore his face off. You know what I mean? She made him pay for constantly trying to buy her out that back end or out the chest while she's trying to work at him. One, because he was a bigger dog. And, you know, we just had to stop that before she would have messed up our male to the point that we couldn't do nothing with him. She was turning his face into a mush. So we said we're going to go and breed her. Now, during this time, before my boy, man, I told you he had bred the Ace and he had the puppies up there. Okay, well, he came home. And you know, I still have Amber. And what he wants to do, he wants to take Amber now and go breed to Angel's Apache. Angel's Apache was up in Connecticut. Okay, so we jump on the road. Here we go again. We headed up to Connecticut to breed to Angel's Apache. So when we get there, we see Apache, but they got these other dogs there. One of the dogs' name was Mayday. Mayday's mother was there, Dolly, and he had a little May's sister, Choice. Now, keep in mind, I've never seen these dogs before. They didn't even know who they were. You know, Angel was just saying, look, this male, this one right here, he going tomorrow. We going down there in the Jersey, New York area, and we're going to do him. He's going into a 4-time winner. I think he's going for a dog, going for his championship. He might have even been a grand champion. I know he said something about the dog was a 4-time winner. So that's where we headed. Now, great dude, man, great dude. He really treated us good. That man, the whole trip we was treated good. But we got a chance to go down, and we seen Mayday going to the Buddha dog. Now, I'm gonna tell you this much, y'all. Buddha might have been a good dog. You know, I don't know his career. But man, but the way that dog went in there and bit Mayday up in his chest. I mean, when he punched him like he had a damn saber sword. Because you best believe Mayday didn't like that. And man, I'm telling you, I ain't never seen a motherfucking dog get as mad as this dog got. Man, when I say mad, Mayday kicked into this machine. I mean, like, you know, y'all all seen the Terminator. You know, you could be throwing bricks, missiles. You know, he's just not, you done pissed him off. Man, by the time, it wasn't maybe 15 minutes later, Buddha was out of there, bro. Buddha was out of there. And man, what I saw, what my boy saw, you know what my boy said? Man, we're going to breed to him. That's what he said. We're going to breed to him. We don't know nothing about him. Now, when we get back, I watched Angel put the baddest care that you can put on a dog. You know, when I say the baddest care you can put on one, man, the next day, you know, you could see the tube, you know, he had a drain in his chest because he took a real hard hit in that chest. You could see the drain in his chest. But man, other than that, you wouldn't even thought Mayday went down that night. The night before, you wouldn't have never believed he went down the night before. I mean, he did some nice care to that dog, man. I mean, he did, you know, he had the right inflammatory agents in. The dog didn't really swell up. He was so well cleaned up, man, and stitched up. You couldn't even see the staples. I mean, he stapled with everything back. Every hole in it was closed. You couldn't even see nothing. And that's what you know, it was his care is what did it. His care is really what did it. That's what really made me say, man, I'm gonna take care of my dogs. I'm gonna keep on learning these dogs, man, until I'm like these guys right here. Now remember, guys, I've been around McNasty, the Abraham, Big Raw, Noonie. Remember, that's just up that way. We're not gonna talk about the down there, down in the south. You know, my boy with Champion Tate. You know what I'm saying? TW. You know, then I got Atlas Brewer, James Edwards. I didn't sit there early in the game, ran out there with Harry Hargrove and them. I don't know. I mean, Tom Ratcliffe. I mean, I seen all these dogs, all these guys. And all these guys was just throwing. Remember, I'm sucking all this info in. I'm seeing all these great dogs. Now I'm over here messing with this dog named Mayday. He impressed me. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you like that. He impressed me. Now I seen Queen with Pepper. I seen Brunson with Tadpole. You know what I mean? I seen Migraine come in and whoop a bad boy. I seen Robert T come in and do some hellfire work. I seen New York, and I seen New York Jr. lose. But these were all great dogs. But I'm telling you, that Mayday dog that I saw that night, I was convinced that we were gonna breed that dog. Now, remember, we did breed Amber to Angel's Apache. And if you looked at Angel's Apache and Amber's breeding, it was a fit, you know. And I find time, I might go in here and pull up Angel's Apache just so you can see what it looks like. You know, one day I'll go back through here and show you what the breeding was and what it looked like at the time, which was a great idea. It just didn't take. You know, I had to take her over to the vet, get an x-ray, send the x-ray up to Angel and them, and just to show them, hey, look, this dog had a false pregnancy. She was never pregnant. So now they owe me a breeding. Guess what, y'all? As soon as Red Ace came in the heat, guess where I was headed? Now, Mayday wasn't back up in Connecticut no more. Now he's down there in the Miami area. So I drove her all the way down, and I had another bitch. I drove, I had two dogs. I had two dogs. It was Red Ace and Yellow Apache. Yellow Apache was off of Bruiser. I think Bruiser and Hooker Red. Now, I took both of them down to breed to Mayday. Now, I bred Red Ace, and then I bred the Hooker Red bitch. Red Ace got pregnant. The Hooker Red bitch, she didn't. But what she did do, she came back with having no puppies. So we didn't get anything off of her. But what we did get was those puppies off of Mayday. It was a male and two females. That's all he had. We had a male and two females. Now, y'all remember that now. This dog was still young in his breeding, man, and I still only got 3 puppies, and that bitch was down there a whole week. Actually, 10 days or more, because I drove down 10 days later to pick her up. But she only had 2 puppies. She had I named Little Mayday, that was my male, and the 2 females, one was brundled just like AC, you know? And then there was the Brat. Now, the only dog that I kept at the time that I didn't want to leave with, I wanted to keep on my yard was Little Mayday. I had a little nephew, he was a real close street friend of mine, that's what he was. But he was like my nephew because he was one of them kids that just got up under my wing. You know, I was out there and it was just a young boy that, you know, hey, I had to take him with me. I gave him both the Brat and the little Brindle bitch. I forgot what her name was because he gave her a name. But I'd already gave Brat her name because Brat was a brat. And he took him down to Norfolk, Virginia. Okay? One day he calls me and he tells me that, hey man, there's something wrong with the dog. Okay, something's wrong. I don't know, I don't understand what's wrong with her. So he was like, I'm going to come home, I'm going to bring them both home. So when he bring them home, the little bitch, what I realized is she had parvo. Now I was able to treat Brat, but I wasn't able to treat her. She was too far gone. You know, by the time he got her to me, she was dead the next day. But she was a hellfire, and it really hurt him because he liked her over Brat. The Brat was crazy, but you know, the little Brindle bitch, you know, he liked her because, you know, she wasn't a nutcase like Brat. Brat, she just wanted to run around and hit everybody. You know, she didn't even like her sister. You know, they couldn't even play in the park. You know, her sister could play in the park with the other dog, with her, but she, you know, Brat didn't have nothing to do with it. Every time you brought Brat around, the Brat was gonna fight her. So he didn't like Brat. You know, he liked the Brat, but he liked the Brindle bitch because, you know, she wasn't dog fighting crazy. You know, she was still trying to be a puppy. So when they brought him back, you know, I ended up, once the little bitch died, I got Brat back on the yard. You know, they're a little older now. So one day we all out bullshitting, a couple friends coming by that, you know, nobody really know about the Mayday dogs. All they really know about what I told them about what I saw this dog do and why we bred to him. You know, he was grand champ. He wasn't even a grand champion yet. He was a champion. We're gonna go put Little Mayday and Brat together. You know, so we put them down. Oh man, you should have seen it. It was like all out war. I'm talking about all out war. And then all of a sudden we heard a snap. Bap! We heard that snap. He had grabbed her leg, got mad on one of those stifle shots she gave him, and grabbed her front leg and snapped it. I mean, when I say snapped it, he snapped it right in two. It was sitting there dangling, y'all. You should have seen Brat. Brat went right back into his back end again, held him in there, man, and still did a game courtesy. I mean, you know, I didn't even call it a courtesy. Once we broke him, we turned around and we scratched her anyway, you know? We scratched her. Just to see if she was scratched on a broken leg, and she did. And she didn't think she had a broken leg. She acted like she didn't have a, you know, she hopped her ass across there. She, I mean, like a one-legged, you know, bumps across the street. You know what I'm saying? A car coming. You know, so we took her to the vet. Told her, hey, we had a kennel accident, and you know, she got her leg broke. So when you look at her leg, you'll notice she had a broke leg. It ended up healing, and we were able to put her in some good keeps. But she always had a certain bend to that one leg, but she never had no problem with the leg ever. Okay, their match careers began when I took Little Mayday up. I was getting ready to move to Florida, and I was gonna move because I was getting hot in Akron. It's time for me to go in Akron, Ohio. So it was time for me to go. So I went up to Kalamazoo to Storm and Norman's yard, up there in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And now I'm going back up here taking dogs. And what I did was I took the yellow Apache dog with me, and I had bred her to Little Mayday. So she's full of puppies, you know. We bred her to Little Mayday, just put it that way. And we took her up there, and we took her and Little Mayday up to Kalamazoo, Big Norman. And I took Red Ace's Little May brother. But while I was up there dropping the dogs off, I seen Norm's house dog. She's like 5 years old. And he said, man, this is a bad bitch. She's a triple bred Whistler. Now, you know, I don't know much about Whistler. So he was talking how hot on how she was bred. I seen the pedigree. God, the bitch was strictly red boy, you know? And then when you go back a little further, she got grand champion art all up in there. You know, she had some other crosses in her. She wasn't all red boy like everybody thinks he is. She wasn't all red boy. But she had a lot of bad dogs in that, you know, further back. I talked him in to let me take her with me. I told him I would leave Little Mayday, I would leave the little female. I was already bringing them to drop them off anyway. But I really wanted to take, we went around to the guy's house and he put her down. And I'm telling you, man, I knew right then this bitch was super bad. I knew she was super bad, man. I said the only reason this dude got her is because, you know, he had his little things going in life. You know, he was on one of those. He was on one of them moments. It should have been a flag for me, but it wasn't. I was just stuck on getting her. So I was willing to leave Little Mayday in the yellow bitch up there until he got his dog back. So I take her, bring her back to Tampa, cause I already moved down, back to Ohio. I had both dogs. I took Brat. Only 2 dogs I bought. I took Brat and Pretty Mama, and I went from Georgia to South Carolina. And in that period of time, Pretty Mama, red boy dog, showed red boy colors. That's all I can say. She was a hell of a dog. When I say she would make a red boy dog owner proud. Let me see if I can get her up here. Let me see. That's just which way can I go to get her? Pretty mama. Anyway, I keep on going with that, y'all, and let you know about her. Some of the shows, her first one, the dog came right in, right off the top, y'all tried to kill her. I mean, when I say right off the top, you got two big bitches going at 42. It almost looks like Queen of Heart or what's the double grand champion name? Kennels Tornado. Look like, bitches. One looks like Queen of Heart, and Pretty Mama looking like a big size tornado. You know what I mean? And the thing was she snatched on Mama so hard that she made Mama mad. And when Mama got mad, she went to work. I mean, when I said she went to work, she went to work. I mean, it didn't take long for her to get to work either. I mean, it's like she, I thought that she was gonna be, a monster, cause she stopped that dog so fast. And once that dog got down, because it was like the dog came out fast, we came out fast, but the dog can't keep up the pace. Mama was on a pace that, that was consistent to, the conditioning. So the dog wasn't in that great a shape, because I say by 15 she was on a wall. And once you get down on that wall and you stay on there too long, now you either fighting to survive, or you fight because you just, you got that, you're just game dog. You know the difference between a game dog down there hitting a wall and laying there and seeing he's steady trying to get back to the match, compared to a dog that's down there and he's just laying there trying to figure out, do I want to try to get up or am I going to give up? But right now I got to save myself, just they're fighting for survival. Okay, we had one that's fighting for survival. Okay, that was the first one. Same card. They had some good dogs too. I think them boys. The dogs that I seen that night. There was 5 dogs that went, and the first 3 were males. Then me and Brat and Pretty Mama, we always finishing the show because we was a female. So the males that I saw, man, let me tell you something. South Carolina, back in them hoods, man. I don't even see how Kennels like Crossroad and mainly like Walkmore. Those were the names that I heard coming out of South Carolina, guys. I never really heard much about these boys back there in the backwoods, you know what I mean? But that's where the dogs are. That's where the bulldogs are, y'all. We only hear about Walkmore, David Tant, and like Mr. Green, he's one of them. He's one of them backwoods that I'm talking about. One of them dog, man, don't nobody know nothing about him, but we hear all the great names. But see, I had a chance. We went. Look, we went in one, man. We had a match in a bar down there. I mean, see, everybody in the whole city had gold out teeth. I ain't gonna lie to you. It seemed like everybody in the city was rich. But we did a match in the bar, y'all. We sure did. We had a match in the bar in South Carolina. Had the pit set up inside and everything. I heard somebody speaking about that a couple of days ago on one of these other podcasts. Well, I'm wondering if it's just the same people, because these people we was down in the Savannah area. It wasn't all. It was just in the Savannah area, And that was a hell of a show, man. Inside that bar, man, we had a lot of fun. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna dip in here and see if I can find Pretty Mama stuff right quick, fellas. And when we did it, man, this was the second one. There was like think about 4. think it was like 4 shows. It was like four shows. Two males and female. Now one of the males was going for number 2. I seen him go on the first card, the first time. He came down there where we was. Now we're going in there with Mama, Brad, and we had a male. His name was Too Sweet. You know, in his pedigree, they called him China Red. He was off a Champion Outlaw, the Son of Yellow. Got him out of, again, another dog that I got from Cleveland. A guy named Eric. Eric was the guy who, I guess, bred the dog. Now, Eric was the guy who told me that he was the only black guy at the Jeep match. Now, what people didn't know back then, Jeep wasn't supposed to go into Homer. Jeep was supposed to go into the brothers up in Buffalo called the Bishop Brothers. Now, remember I told y'all that, you know, my boy had Amber and all those dogs up in the Buffalo area and the Rochester area, because when he went down, this is where I went to go get Red Ace, Amber, and all those dogs that's up in that area. So I had a chance to meet a couple guys up there, and the Bishop Brothers and a guy named Ziggy, the guys that I met up there, you know, and became real good friends with the guys. You know, Davey Bishop was the wild bro. Bubba was more the business money man. But Davey can condition the hell out of a dog. He was another guy. They was the first introduction of steroids came from Davey Bishop. Davey Bishop set me down and taught me the world of steroids. He said, you don't need all them steroids, man. All you need is the right steroids. And the right steroids for me was the heat of his choice was Deca and Winstrol, nothing else. And you know, through my years, I have perfected it. But even when it came down to it, you know, I'm trying to remember. I think it was Pitbull Island Pitbull. You know, I know it was one of them islands over there in Puerto Rico who was sending me the shit. You know, when I met Stone City and them, you know, they just solidified that everything I was doing with the roids was correct, because they really just solidified it because I had receipts from them across my information together, and it was, you know, and this is why it's working for me. But at the time, again, Davey Bishop and them was the ones that put the money up to go into Jeep. See, they dog got sick. So this is how Homer became the, you know, the replacement dog. See, that's one part of the story I wanted to make sure, you know, everybody didn't know. Jeep was supposed to go into the Bishop boys. And during that time, the Bishop boys, you know, they was running that going like Barney shit. You know what I mean? And one thing for sure, they had a reputation and a name up in Buffalo. So there wasn't gonna be no walk in the park. They had a $10,000 lockup, and they didn't want to lose that lockup. So they was glad to see that Homer, they stepped up to the test to take their place because their dog had got sick. But moving on down back into the Carolinas on the second match, and I told you, I said one of the dogs that ended up, I seen him go before it. He was on the same card. Too Sweet was on the next card. Now, this one, Too Sweet won his first match. Like again, he was one of those dogs that it was like a yellow dog, game as hell. He didn't really have great ability. He just had determination to win. He wasn't, I mean, I would say that he passed his game test. But when he passed his game test, guys, let me tell you like this: it wasn't a game test that we had him worked on. He beat put it like this: his first match, he beat a dog that I was expecting to beat him through games. This dog was better than him. It's just that the conditioning of Too Sweet, I guess, in his training forced the dog to blow hot. The dog blew hot in like 20 minutes, y'all. 40 minutes, it was over. So now you got Pretty Mama and Brat. Brat comes up next. I'm telling you now, Brat is a grand champion ace. She's just like her mother. She was a stifle dog, just like Grand Champion Ace. You know, she goes in and she acts like Mayday. The difference is you don't have to bite Brat hard to get her mad. Brat came in mad. You know, you could tell the Wrangler stuff had just came in perfect with the Mayday. You know, the Mayday crazy, and you add the Mayday crazy to the ability of Grand Champion Ace. Now we're talking about a mind frame because with a super net yard, you know, Ace could walk through the whole yard. We looking at the dog, you got Ace walking right down there next to you. Ain't running up on shit, just walking right on down the yard as we looking at the dogs. He walking on down the yard, we're looking at the dog. Red Ace was more like her daddy, you know what I mean? Because she wasn't no animal aggressive dog. If you got her, she probably run over to the front porch and sit on the porch trying to get in the house. Brat was definitely not that kind of dog. Brat get loose, she's gonna hunt down Pretty Mama, go out and get Pretty Mama. Her and Pretty Mama couldn't stand each other. But on that card there, Brat goes out, she goes into a 2-time winner. They was pretty confident on this dog. Remember, nobody's really jocking Mayday because we really don't know Mayday. All they know is, you know, basically she was a yellow John dog, a yellow dog. And the way Brat jumped in there and dismantled this bitch, you know, it was like I was sitting up there, y'all, with my own Grand Champion Ace. You have to understand, you know, I had Brat's mother. See, Brat's mother should have been an Angus. Brat's mother should have been a Brat. See, that should have kept on going right down the line. You know, I'll go into the Red Ace story after I finish these other stories, but Red Ace, the mother to the Brat, she was a bad bitch. She was every bit the bitch that created Brat. She, you know what I mean? Brat was definitely a replica of her mother. She looked like her father, but she was definitely a replica of her mother. The only thing is, I could take Brat to Puerto Rico. I could probably take Brat to Korea and fight her the next day. You know what I mean? You know, she didn't have no psychological issues. When she seen a dog, that was it. She kicked in the go mode. And other than that, you know, Brat would chew a tree down. Brat would chew a chain down. Brat would chew a doghouse down. When Brat was not doing anything, Brat was fighting something. Whether it's gonna be her chain, the tree, the doghouse, the pan. You know, she was constant on go mode. I mean, never slowed down. So now she's a 2-time winner. And the funny thing about Brat was, you know, she does her shit so convincingly and so quick. You would think she'd be a shoo-in for Best in Show because ain't nobody smashing like this shit. You know what I mean? And each time, last show tonight, the last 2 matches of Pretty Mama, like on this show here, she's going to become a 1-time winner, a 2-time winner by sitting here getting her ass whooped, guys, hanging around like she's playing with it. You know how animals, before they kill something, they tag around and play with it, roll all over the yard with it, flip it up in the air. Well, Mama had this kind of attitude where she didn't come out and start kicking in the gear. It's like she was like if you had a real good dog, you'd probably kill it, but then that's when you'll see the best of her snap out. The dog that she was on was pretty rough, but she couldn't really tag her down, you know? It was like Mama was just doing a whole lot of back and forth, you know, taking her out of holds, you know what I mean? Staying out of trouble, tail wagging the whole time, but she was more like consistent, but she was at a pace, you know? She wasn't punching yet. She was just, you know, controlling. Okay, you got my head. I'm gonna get you off my head. Okay, you want me in my shoulder? Let me get you out my shoulder. Okay? But if you slow down, then no, don't you slow down. Then she'll hit there and make you go right back there. You got to stay up to keep up. So she always made you keep up by not letting you slow up. So when them dogs hit the wall, it's like you had a stopwatch. I'm telling you, man, look, by the time we got to the third match, we knew once they hit an hour mark, that's when everybody started going crazy. The guys who have seen Mama go knew at the hour mark, you're going to see a totally different dog. At the hour mark, it's like she had a stopwatch. She turned into a brat. And that's no lie. Her ability was, she switched abilities like for a whole hour, she was just the average red boy dog. For the next 20 minutes, she was in there destroying the shit. Like I said, she'd play around for an hour, and less than 20 minutes, it was over. When she kicked in, she took all the confidence you had prior to that hour and then took every bit of it and just took it all away from her. And she did it twice. She did it her second and her third match. Both times. Both times when she did it in such a fashion that the show that I felt like Brat should have got best in show, and I could see Mama getting Gamison show. They literally gave Mama the best in the Gamison show both times. Me, it was like, I liked it, Mama, you know what I mean, but y'all don't like that killing bitch. Damn, that bitch is smashing shit. Ain't nobody looking like, Brat make you look like you don't belong in there with her. And see, that was hurting her because it was so easy for them to give Mama the trophy when it was clearly that Brat was the best dog on both cards, that she didn't even get best in show. But I guess it's the mind frame. Brat didn't have a name. Pretty Mama was like a Storm and Norman. Everybody knew the red boy. She was a heavy red boy dog. When you say Mayday, don't nobody know who Mayday is. They barely knew Grand Champion Ace was. So it was like, there was a little bit of that South Carolina prejudice, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They liked certain things, and they liked that comeback shit over a bitch going in there killing some shit, making her look like it didn't belong in there with her anyway. So that was the things of why, Pretty Mama was a champion Pretty Mama and won best in show and Gamison show over Brat because of her style. And I think Georgia and South Carolina, they not saying that they're not used to killers like the Detroit guys is, you know what I mean? They used to that game shit, They used to getting into them great matches. I've seen a lot of theirs too, and they right. They be bulldogging, but they take for granted a dog that can go in there and take out your ass. They must don't see a whole lot of that down in them areas because in both instances, second and third, Brat beat two-time winners going for their championships. And she 19 minutes, they were down. 15 minutes, the match was over. Just took up some time for somebody to give up and pick up, or, or they make them hit a wall, and then they finally be like, okay, it's time for them to scratch, It was just one of those kind of issues where that I think Brat's career would have been, she'd been even more up. I know she was the first champion off of Mayday. But Brat should have had best in show all three times she was out because on every one of them shows, she was the best in the show. You got a dog that's knocking out dogs like it ain't shit, and, we can end the night real quick. If you want to go home quick, go get Brat. So, but again, the Mayday name hadn't been out there yet. Didn't nobody know who Mayday was. Didn't nobody really know who Mayday was. Now, Mayday Dog started winning because they started as Brat and them's matches was going in. I had got up with Deep South and those guys during that time, and we became good friends, and I helped a lot with the situation they was running into with Victor, and they were just getting ready. They were selling Lucan at the time that I met them, but they still had Twisted. He was a hell of a dog. They still was running around with Barracuda. Ulysses and them had Barracuda, and but they needed to get the dogs matches registered, and they needed to get their papers. I put a lot of time in helping them put their yard together as far as their paperwork. These were dog men, but these were street dog men. They didn't give a damn about papers. You know what I mean? They didn't even give a damn about the goddamn journal. They were just matching dogs. But, once I got them out of that and started reporting those matches, then you started seeing, you know, Barracuda getting his matches, Twisted getting his, Luke Kane getting his, you know. Then you know, Luke Kane goes up to SDP and becomes a grand champion. Now here's a question to be asked. Out of all the dogs that D-South had, you know, and Luke Kane was a good dog. You know what I mean? If you was to compare Luke Kane to Twisted, I would tell you that even though Luke Kane was a bad dog, I guarantee you he would have never sold Twisted to STP. My opinion, but you know, I've seen them both. You know, Barracuda was a bad dog. You know, I don't know what they was talking about when Barracuda went in case y'all didn't know, Barracuda went in Eminem and them, you know, the Masons. You know, we was already good friends then, you know, and it was just it's the story behind it. It's just such a funny story is that, you know, as the Mayday Dogs was coming up, there was a lot of guys in, you know, my hometown, especially my friend, the one I keep talking about, my boy, the one who kept sending me to get the dogs, the one who actually made these breeds, the one who was with me when Mayday, we saw Mayday. Was for some odd reason, because Brat was out there winning, you know, he just had this thing where he could beat the Mayday Dogs. You know, he was, you know, they ain't all that. Okay, so it was really him in the making of this show that they created this show where Twisted went into Ready to Rumble and the Masons went into Barracuda. And they went in, I think, with one of David Tan's dogs. I know that Supernat refereed the Barracuda match. So this story I hear when you guys be saying that Barracuda stop it, guys. I was there at the match. It wasn't stopping there nowhere. You know, for anybody, you know, some people, you say things because you want controversy. You rather keep it to a lie. You rather hear a lie be the truth than the truth itself. You know, that's the point I'm trying to make here. Because when I'm standing here looking at what I saw that night, I didn't even see a hesitation. What I saw was an incident happened when the referee threw the sponge. When Supernat threw the sponge and the way it hit Barracuda's face, Barracuda literally got sponged right in the face. You know how you want to squeeze the water over your dog head, and in the same process as you're going to do it, your dog lifts his head back up and looking up, and you catch him right there in the face with the water. Now, when they cut Barracuda loose, here's the thing that happened. That whole situation, Barracuda's got something in him because he's not paying attention. He's looking over somewhere like he don't know exactly where he at. And when Sad released the dog, Barracuda took off like going straight to the opposite pit wall. But it was like oh, this ain't the way, that's the way, boom. Wasn't a hesitation, wasn't a thought about it. It wasn't none of that. So for anybody who's standing there trying to say that they saw Barracuda stand the line, one, he didn't get counted out. He didn't get counted out. He didn't even get a 1 count, y'all. So I don't even understand where this, oh, Barracuda stood there thing is, because that's not true. Not true at all. Now, you know, the Mason did lose. They went into Barracuda. They're one of his victims. Now, I ain't never known Harold and them to have to lie about a loss when they didn't won so many. But I ain't never heard Harold say anything about him stopping or quitting. And if he did, he said it out there in the outworld. He probably wouldn't say that around me because he knew it was true. It wasn't true. I mean, you take a loss like a dog man, and Harold Mason is really a dog man. He didn't want more matches than he didn't lost, so I don't, you know, he had a chance to beat a great dog that day, but that one was too much dog. It was a great show though. They bought a bulldog. That Barracuda wasn't nothing to be fucking with, y'all. Don't ever get that shit twisted. Don't ever get that shit twisted. Barracuda wasn't nothing to be fucked with. He wasn't no 9-time winner for nothing. You know what I mean? Pay attention to that one. Barracuda was that dog. You know, so Twisted went into Ready to Rumble. That was another good one. When Twisted went in Ready to Rumble, they had a good dog. Their dog was off of Beetlejuice. That was one of the reasons why I bred to Beetlejuice after all that, guys, because Twisted was on a hell of a dog. It was tick for tat. That was a hell of a show. I mean, to the point where, you know, it was any dog win except for one thing. There was something different about those Mayday dogs. I seen in Brat, I seen it in Barracuda, I seen it in Twisted. Them Mayday dogs have a determination. It's like any dog I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of lions, y'all. I've seen a lot of dogs. I've seen killers have that, you know, that intensity of control in the head where they just all out kill. In their mind, they just nuts, you know. But to see a line of dogs that was so focused in their mentality of thinking, crazy. I mean, when you see them, you could just see it in their eyes, all of them. I'm talking about, you know, this is that first wave of Mayday dogs. When I say the first wave of Mayday dogs, y'all, there's a wave there. I'm gonna try to remember them, but when Mayday hit the scene, and then you had Choice, and then you had Dragon Lady, and all these dogs, you know, becoming champions and shit, coming out with Mayday. That didn't even wake them up enough to know that there was a great breeding that didn't happen. It was them offsprings. When Bat hit the scene, then shortly after that, Luke came, and then 600, and then Hunch. You know what I mean? You got, we still naming. I got Chanel, Annabelle. I know I'm missing some. There was just so many of them. There was so many of them out there winning. May May went and knocked off Grand Champion Chi Chi. Remember, everybody you know what? Let me tell you, every attack that I ever seen on a Mayday dog was an attack that, you know, that it was like more like a hate thing. You know what I mean? It didn't have nothing to do with really a dog thing. It was like everybody just believed that, you know, they weren't shit and they could be beat. Well, I didn't see Mayday's first match, but when they go catch weight, it happens. You know, if they give a Pacific weight and catch weight, it's almost like it don't fucking matter if you was 20 pounds. You know, when they call catch weight, there's a certain limitation that, you know, 55 is not catch weight. 65, you can agree on 65, you come in at 65. But after 65, then they start talking catch weight.
What about Champion Hannah, Champion Graveyard, spoke of?
Well, I know about, well, I can tell you Champion Hunch. Now, I remember Graveyard, but I don't know whether Graveyard was, I did say Hunch. I said Hunch and May May. There's no Hannah. Oh, Champion Hannah. Now, I don't know about Champion Hannah coming off by way of Mayday now. Now, I had to go back in there and look at that, and if they probably did, they might have came in from, you know, the Ecuador dogs, but I'm speaking of the dogs that I knew that was out, You know, like I said, I know 600, Noriega, Twisted, Liu Kang, Hunch, May May, and Brat. Them was the ones that I remember all coming out where Mayday became an instant RM and an instant sensation because of all those dogs. Now, Graveyard, I remember Gary Yard and I do remember Hannah, but they wasn't that roller dogs. I even slipped in there and forgot Annabelle. Annabelle was another one. You know, these are all the ones that these dogs came out right there in a patch. There was a patch of them. You know, wasn't nothing like that coming out of Ecuador, guys. I'm sorry. This was Mayday's first group of dogs that hit the dog game. It wasn't a lingering effect. It was the immediate effect. Immediate effect. There was so many of them out there that they all start picking up a name because you got to remember, man, you start counting off them wins. Every one of these dogs was champions, and they was nobody missing nothing. So, you know, that's what made their names successes, because the immediate growth of not only what Mayday had done, because really it didn't really become a factor to what he done when he had legitimate sisters that were champions himself coming off by way of yellow. But I guess people were getting tired of the yellow, or they wasn't really wanting to give Victor the just pub that he was deserved, because to be honest, Victor didn't do that. Victor didn't match not one of them motherfuckers outside the Mayday now. I'm talking about Twisted and all them. Victor didn't do that. No, the dog ain't done that. When you got so many guys got dogs off of your stud, at least 7 at the time. It could be more. But I'm talking about the dogs that was just here. I tell you one I know, I keep forgetting. Chanel would be number 8. So now we're talking about 8 dogs. Now I can remember, I think I named them all. It could be 9. But I didn't name all these dogs was in a bunch, winning matches, all coming by way of Mayday being the sire. Hell yeah, that shit took game. Now, you know, at my hometown, when they realized how the Mayday dogs was, they already knew about Brat before she left. They already knew about little Mayday before she left. What they loved to find out was how important Mayday had became to the game. By then, I'm living in Florida. Brat was already a champion. Her championship, it took at least took it a minute to come out, because Victor was a little, not Victor, but Jack. Jack was a little stunned by the Mayday development. You know what I mean? He didn't really have no choice but to give Mayday dog of the year, because his establishments and what he did in the game. Now, yeah, a lot of birds going for number 5, and y'all can say what you want. A lot of us wouldn't have been able to turn around and do what he did to make Mayday a grand champion. He went through a lot of shit to do that. You know, whether they were trying to sneak David Town or not, you know, maybe there was. Me, I'm not in favor of going into anything, you know, like I wouldn't go into a line of dogs that, you know, I'm breeding off my own yard. I had too much respect for the dog, man. You know, everybody else might have your own way, that's y'all. Me, I don't go into kennels. I don't go into kennels that I done went on your yard and became friends with you and your dogs. And that's the truth. I would have never went into the Abrahams. I would have never went into McNasty. I would have never went into Big Mike from Hardcore. I would have never went into Deep South. I would have never went into Stone City. You know what I mean? These are close kennels to me. You know what I mean? Now, there have been some outside kennels that I would go into that's close to me, but these kennels that I named, these are my peoples. You know what I mean? I would never why would I want to put my dollars up against theirs? When there's so many other people, why I want to put my dollars up against theirs? I wanted them to come and bet with me like I go along and bet with them. I don't need to be calling out their great dog just because I got a great dog. No, y'all want them to shine right along. Just like they wanted me to shine, and they have no problem letting twins shine. None. I got the same respect that I gave them, they gave it back to me. You know, they should all take credit. Every single one of them guys, everything that I accomplished in this dog game, everybody who was, that I said I would never ever go into, should take credit. They should take credit for the respect that I gave them, you know, because in return, they really did give me the same respect back. You know, there's certain ones, you know, when it comes to, you know, my up north friends, Big Ralph, True Colors. Hey man, I loved all them guys up north. They, you know, Mau Mau. I mean, there's so many of them I can name, guys. I've never been into those guys, and you know what? To be honest, I probably wouldn't have never wanted to go into those guys. Not because I was worried about them, because I had too much respect for them, and they was like my brothers. They gave me so much input. That's like a student going back and slapping shit out of their teacher. I don't want to get an indication that you giving me so much to the game that this my approach to even make you think that I will come back and slap the shit out of you. You know, hey, I'm not that guy. You know, maybe everybody else can. I ain't swagging on y'all, and you do you. But when it comes to me doing me, I respected everybody that I walked up in your yard. I respected your yard. You know, if I was looking for somebody to go matching into me, there was a little sneaky motherfucker that did that in the long run. He still didn't survive with it. But yeah, if you come on my yard, respect me. You come on my yard and then you want to call me out, one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to entertain that. But you'll never walk on my yard again. Yeah, I'll entertain that, but you won't never walk on that yard again, and then got to never worry about me walking on your yard. Because anytime after that I might have something I want to put out there, you're going to be the first call I get. I'm going to call you first. And that goes for anybody else out there back in the day when I was out there. You know, those that I did not care about, you know, because, you know, you just part of the game, then bring it, I'm there. You know, each time that I went into a dog that I shouldn't have went into is because somebody was trying to sneak me. I went into a Stone City dog and it was a good dog. Knowing that if I knew he was a Stone City dog, I wouldn't have never took on the match. Because I respected Jesse and them during that time. And I just don't believe in going into a pedigree that I'm working. You know, I know it happens, yeah, I know, but I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm a Marine, and there's a certain honor and integrity that I carry. And, you know, and I'm not going to change it. Everybody, I'm not telling you not to have my kind of integrity. This is the kind of integrity that I have. It didn't hurt me none in the game. I still was successful.
Work Kennel J.
Yeah, I know work Kennel J. I actually bred brat to Luke Kane. I know Natural Born Kennels, and I know Jay. Jay was the one that lost Buster to Yellow Buck. Yeah, he was a good dude. He'll tell you about traveling. Jay is one of the ones, like when everybody was talking about the IBM Nico thing, okay? We all heard Jesse's excuse on the travel, okay? Okay, so let's talk about Jay and champion Buster, 4-time winner going for his grand championship, flying over to Puerto Rico, going in the Yellow Buck. Now, Buster was a bad motherfucker, y'all, I'm going to tell you. But Buster wasn't the same dog that got to Puerto Rico and got over there and was not the same dog when he went to Yellow Buck. Now, was that because Yellow Buck ability to change his style? Or was he couldn't adapt to what the situation he was in when it came to the weather because he never got himself together? Let Jay tell it. No, y'all gonna give him the same respect that y'all gave Jesse and everybody go whacking on IBM? Then y'all should be over there whacking on Yellow Buck because Yellow Buck beating him the same fucking way. Same way. Same way. So when it comes to the travel shit and my own, being my experience, I drove from Akron, Ohio to New York, jumped on a plane and flew to Puerto Rico all on a Friday and was fighting on a Saturday. And when I got there to Puerto Rico, my dog wouldn't come out the box, but I still went over there and put her on to a 4-time winner. And when that 5-time winner, grand championship, made the cover, they would show you, and you'll see my name there. You'll see Red Aces, Brat's mother there. But and when they say that was her longest and hardest match, let me say this. When they said her longest and hardest match, we're talking still about a dog who didn't even want to fight. She didn't even want to fight. She did all that damage, killed Tommy, and not one time was she there to fight. She went into survival mode because of the trip. Can I say that Jay is right about the traveling? Yes. Can I say that Jesse was right about the traveling? Yes. Jay went to Puerto Rico, right? Jesse came from Puerto Rico to Jersey, New York, right? They both had issues. Me, I came away from Akron, Ohio and flew out to Puerto Rico. Did I have issues? Yes, I did. So I can say, guys, you know, you got to learn how to travel. That's all I can tell you. I'm not going to take any excuses for a loss, but if I'm going to take that as an excuse for a loss, I can't let that be the excuse the next time. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure Jay learned that. I'm pretty sure Jesse and them learned that. You know what I mean? Mayday was, I'm pretty sure, you know, Mayday, I told Jay I was a little crazy to him. I can travel with Brat and don't even have to make one damn stop with her and guarantee you, her and Pretty Mom, by the time they get what the fuck they is, they're gonna be, they mind on one fucking thing. That's getting down. They ain't on none of that shit. Traveling ain't gonna fuck with them because their mind frame is not, you know, it's just, if you know them as the dogs that I knew them as, they were totally different dogs compared to Red Ace. And other dogs that I've had, like Too Sweet, you know, China Red, you know, I stressed him out on his loss into Crossroad. You know, we drove all night to get to there to them, and just as we get in there, y'all, we don't even, I don't think we had 20 minutes, 30 minutes before we was in the box with him, did we? It was just one of them rush days that, you know, we needed to be on the scale at a certain time, and I was trying to get there, and it got kind of lost, and it was just things running behind, and, you know, the dog wasn't in his best situation, but hey, look, he lost. He lost. And he lost in the worstest way. He got punched in the chest off the open scratch. He went high and locked him low, went low, and when he locked in, he locked in. But I would say it like this. Lock and Low was a decent dog. You know, he beat me, so I'm not gonna call him a piece of trash. Okay, because he beat me. But I can say that those dogs that came off of them boys over there Crossroad, they was one, I have to always say, they was one step away from greatness. Because they had maybe 4 or 5 two-time winners, and they couldn't get nobody over the threshold. Lock and Low being one of them. You know, I say that about their yard, just like I said the same thing where I wonder about Walkamart in the yard. I'm always worried about these guys because they have good dogs, but then when you question the things that they do. You know what I mean? You question the things that they do. You know, the mistakes that you make, the mistakes that they make, is totally a different story. And I'm gonna go pull up some of these pedigrees, guys, so we can see some of this shit, okay? Just bear with me 1 second here. Just 1 second here. Let me pull out. I'll start off with. I want to go with Pretty Mama, y'all. I want to go with Pretty Mama. Everybody know Brad. I'm gonna just go over some things about the pedigrees, y'all, and what I be looking for and finding the perfect dogs, the breed to them, why my dogs was, I would have to say, what I was looking for. That's Champion Pretty Mama right there. For those who never seen her. And somebody asked them about Firecracker. Firecracker came along after I got out. I need some glue, Mike. You know, Firecracker came in after I got out. You know, he was a good dog though. Now, if y'all look at Pretty Mama's pedigree, guys. That's a heavy red boy dog. She's actually triple bred Whistler. Anybody see that Vanity Tito shit up in there? Y'all see that, right? The bottom side part is the part, something little areas down there at the bottom is the parts that I want to point out to you. That whammy dog. Okay, we're gonna go in here and kick on whammy. So I want to be able to show you guys the back side of the pedigrees. That's the whammy dog. You see that stuff down at the bottom? Look at that. You stuff that you don't normally see. Was you expecting to see Zebo in that red boy dog? Bet you never thought you'd see red boy in that dog. See, you see what's back there. You see Zebo. You see champion Katie. And I'll really blow your mind. Here, let me go up here to Bunsen Company boys. Let's start with them. Let me show you Bubba. Look at the Bubba. You think triple bred red boy, was she? Look at that shit, y'all. Y'all see what's back there, right? Look what's back there. That's what made the red boy and her battle cross. You know what I mean? You're right. You're right. A lot of people would have just bred her, but see, by looking at her from the front, you would have called her all red boy. But look what's back there in the back of that shit, y'all. Look what her out was down there at the bottom. Look at that. We got Rufus Alligator. We got Susie off a nigga. We got Zebo. We got Buddy. You know what I'm saying? Got Grand Champion Art and Candy. That's the bottom. See, when you're looking at Pretty Mama from up here from the front, you don't see none of that. You know what I'm saying? When you look at that right there, you didn't see none of that. I'm gonna put it back up there, guys, so y'all can see that again. But by looking at that pedigree from the front, I'd have said that dog got Grand Champion Art and Zebo in. You would have never said, no, you lying. Where? I don't see nowhere it could be. Well, I just showed you guys, you know, you got to go to the back. You know, it wasn't really the red boy that carried Pretty Mama. It was the triple bred Whistler that helped. It was the triple bred Whistler that helped. That was a heavy red boy. But I'm going to tell you, man, that out had enough whack in it. They did a whole lot of shit for that dog because that dog was one hell of a dog. I mean, and to be triple bred in a box dog, you're right. A lot of people want to say, I'll take her home and breed her. You know what I'm saying? This brother, that's what he was doing. That's what he was doing. That's exactly what he did. He was sitting there breeding. I love two dogs. I love Sassy. I love a pregnant Apache dog up there off of Bruiser. And I love Brad's brother to bring that dog home. When that dog's career was over, I tried to take her back. And the man disappeared because he had got rid of Lil Mayday. And that's why you don't see Lil Mayday nowhere around. He was going to probably be a grand champion, man, because I had set on him for the perfect time. Brat was a champion before she was 3 years old. Lil Mayday, he needed that time to become a grand champion, I'm telling you. He did. You need to sit back and just let him turn into a monster. And I'm pretty sure that's why Norman got rid of him, because he had a problem. And after it all happened, you know, I had a lot of other people come to me and tell me, man, that ain't the first time Norman did that. The last time I heard from, you know, I did go looking for the man. Last we heard, he was staying with Iris Jerry back there in the day. But yeah, that was Pretty Mama was one hell of a dog. And for guys to see that in the background, let me see, it said, hey, going hard, who would win between Barracuda and Mayday? I'm going to still say Daddy. I bet my money on Mayday. I would bet my money on Mayday. I mean, and to me it sounds ridiculous question, but they did put Bully Son's son on Bully Son, and Bully Son lost. So, you know, I mean, it's a trivial question, but, you know, if you was to ask me who would win between Brat and Little Mayday, and I'd tell you Little Mayday would have killed Brat. Little Mayday would kill both of them. Brat and Pretty Mama, probably together. And them was two bad bitches. Why? Because he was really special. Brat was really special, but Little Mayday, he had that grand champion quality that it would have took me, you know, I had to remember, I took Pretty Mama and built a yard, a family, a home. You know, I just took 2 dogs, and them dogs went out there and made my transition to Florida what it came to be, you know. And from that, I was able to build off of that. You know, them 2 dogs in itself. Little May was very important because that little female that I told you off the bruiser bitch, I bet Little Mayday, the only litter off a Little Mayday, the only little litter off a Little Mayday, Mayday, and yet that little cross right there, the only one, is still relevant even now in the year 2022. That's how important Little Mayday was. One breeding. He had Sassy Girl, and in that Sassy Girl, he had 2 puppies. He had Sassy Girl, and he had Menace. And here's the funny thing about it. Sassy wasn't a box dog, but she was a game dog. Menace was a cold dog. That's right, people. Out of 2 dogs, one on one cold dog, and guess what? Do your homework and you'll see both those dogs produce like a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Yeah, I had one off of Deep South. I had 2 puppies off of Grand Champion Max, which is Champion Max now. I had both of those puppies out of the same litter. And when the 20 dogs that I was talking about that got stolen on my yard, that was one of the dogs. Those were 2 of the dogs. Well, the female, she ended up dying. Unexpected, and I think that somebody poisoned her. I think one of the guys was trying to knock her out because she was real aggressive. You know, and they're trying to steal her. They probably gave her something to try to knock her out because she was, you know, she was a real beautiful dog. They ended up killing her because there was nothing wrong with her when I found her dead. So she had no reason to die. But Max had a little my brother there too. He was one that I wish that I could do all over again. Jesse, he knows this guy, you know, is a real good friend of mine. He had his son off a gator. You know, the dog was real game, but see, the dog was a match dog to me. You know, and he could have been a winner. He wasn't my dog, but I wish I could have been able to do him. I think I would have changed a lot of minds with him because he was on my yard. Any bit people, you know, he was a people biter. So, you know, everybody was really all that crazy about him, but I really liked the gator. I liked him. If there was any other dog that I had, that if I had to do all over again, it would be Red Ace. Red Ace was another grand champion ace. Red Ace was a champion beater. Red Ace was another Angus. She was one of them dogs that you know, they only come once in a lifetime, and I had it, and I didn't take advantage of it. But the sports guys took care of that with Brat. You know, the sports guys took care of that with Brat. Brat was a redemption of what her mother was. You know, Brat was just like her mother, just like her mother. The only difference is Brat was crazy. Her mother wasn't. You know, other than that, I can't think of too many other dogs that I, wish I could go back in time with and had a chance to do it again. I know there was some dogs that I wish I had that I didn't have. You know, like Grand Champion Satan, one of them boys. Satan was one of them great dogs. Remember, I could imagine if I'd have bought Satan and he'd have bought Timex. That's all I'm saying. You know, when we went and bought those dogs, there was 2 of them we bought. There was 3 of them in the cage, and all 3 of those dogs were match dogs. And they lived. And when we went and bought them, they was in the cage together. In the cage together, y'all. And when they went and bought them, we went and bought them for $300. He might have spent $350 for it. That's probably why he got a chance to pick, because mine didn't cost me but $300. But I had Satan Little, my brother, and that dog was every bit, a great dog. You don't hear much about him, but the thing is that line spoke for itself. A lot of guys still trying to figure how to make a line. Well, that was a line that was already a hell of a line. Grand Champion Luther was, and Dolomite. I mean, these dogs were phenomenal dogs. Mr. Klein, the same guy that bred these dogs, the result that he worked hard for, it did come to pass. Grand Champion Satan, Timex would have been a great one. Remember, at the Little May brother and the Little May sister, she lost to a champion, going for a grand champion. She got picked up game. And then they turned around and everybody produced. Only two of them. Mine, I told you, mine got poisoned. But the other two, they all produced. They won matches and they produced good dogs. That was a dog I wish I had to do all over again. You know, I would have had him put somewhere where the person who poisoned him, because we wouldn't let this girl come out the house. He was trying to wife up one of the girls who used to hang around my house, so he came back and poisoned my dog. Little Rat turned out to be a snitch too. Most guys know that story from Act Right. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But yeah, man, there's a lot of dogs out there that I've seen. Let me say, there was the greatest dog that I wish I had to have. It would be two. And I would call that two. Really, it'd be three. They would be all females. I mean, really four. I would have Chanel, Brat, May May, and Pandy. You give me them dogs right there. If I had a kennel with them dogs right there, this them dogs, this them dogs, this them bitches, them dog bitches. I think to me, that would have been my golden lottery ticket. To be able to walk out in the yard and have those kind of dogs back there, you know. I had a yard full of good dogs. I had a lot of one-time winners, two-time winners, you know what I mean? But the thing that impressed me the most was I had people out here who took my dogs and was able to win with my dogs after I got out. Once I came out of the game, my blood did not die. You know what I mean? I see Champion Jimmy. Let me pull some of these guys up, man. Yeah, I need to give these guys recognition because they were able to win after I left the game. And what man don't want to see his dogs winning when he set it down? I know what it feels like. You know, that's all I can tell you. I know what it feels like. It felt good to me. This is Champion Jimmy right here. Yeah, y'all. Off a trip away. Yep, trip away. Yeah, man, look at Champion Jimmy. Hell of a dog right there, y'all. See the breeding down here at the bottom? You see triple A, nitro, you know, just straight more yellow stuff. You see that? Brother, sister, yellow breeding. Good cross. This one right here. That black Mayday. Let me pull them up and let's go look at that a little bit. See, that's a going hard dog right there. That's a going hard dog right there. You see that Champion Menace? Look at his pedigree. That Menace dog right there is off a Little Mayday. That's Brad's Little May brother, bred to that yellow patchy. That's that Tam Bruiser bitch. Remember I told you that was a cold dog. And look at the bottom. See that bottom? That China Dial? Look how she bred. That China Red, that's the dog we call Too Sweet. He was a two-time winner that lost to Lock and Low, Crossroads Lock and Low. That's the one who lost to Crossroads Lock and Low, China Red. But look at that bottom, guys. You already know who Maytu is. Yes, that is the Maytu. Bratton Mayday. Gigi, off of Maytu. And then you taking Brat on the top half, and then you got Little Mayday on the bottom half. To be able to put those two dogs together, Hey, that was a hell of a move right there. Because even though the whole bottom half to me, let me tell you, to me the whole bottom half is cold. From Menace to China Doll to Hershey. Those is cold dogs. Yes. I'm not saying that they cold because they were curs, because I didn't say they was curs. I said they were cold dogs. So if everybody be talking about that, not doing cold shit, hey, look. I've seen somebody become very successful. Very successful, right there. That's just one of them. That's old Champion Jimmy. That's Champion Jimmy's bottom side. You know, that's the bottom side. You know, so I guess because we talking about the cold shit, we can't give him no pub now, right? We can't give him no love. We can't give him no love because you know they have cold bottoms. You know what I mean? Cold bottoms, y'all. Remember that. Cold bottoms. You know? So for all those who thought that cold shit don't work, remember, it does work. So while we doing that, let me go find another one. Let me go find us another one. There's a couple more of them out there that I wanted to speak on. You know, and these are good dogs here. You know what I'm saying? Good dogs. I think, and I think all these dogs.
You ever run Boyle's dogs?
I mean, yeah, I had some Boyle's dogs. I had bred my Mayday dogs into them before. I didn't get a chance to do like I wanted to do with them. There's another dog right here, y'all. This here, Jackson's 38 Special. Champion Jackson 38 Special. 4-time winner. Here you go. Take a look at that right there. What did it say? I'll give y'all a chance to read that little note up there before I move it on out the way. Okay, now let's go down here and look at the actual pedigree. There we go again. When I talk about producing good dogs, I want y'all to pay attention as I run through these pedigrees now. Pay attention to what y'all seeing so y'all can see what I mean by success. What makes a successful kennel when they breeding shit on their own yard. I'm breeding off the yard. It's a damn fact that I breed off the yard. But look, as I'm pulling these pedigrees up, what you're gonna notice in common is pay attention to the first, second, and the third. I should be able to go way back here, go 5 and 6 back behind that and see the same thing I'm seeing at 4, 3, 2, and 1. 38 Special should have been a match dog. Look how he's bred. Heavy Mayday. Shit, he got Macho's Little May's sister down at the bottom. Mayday the Blondie. That's Stone City Cross. Then you turn around, you got the 357 Cross off of Miss Leakey and Buckus. That's a heavy buck cross. Same shit that produced Yellow Buck. Same thing that produced, you know what I'm saying? The shit that Nico Jr. My little buck, he was a heavy, and we're gonna get to him right after this. We're gonna go back, we're gonna check out that Stone City Cross with that Mayday stuff. You're just catching a piece of it. You got Mayday bred back to Brat. You know that's double Mayday. That's a double Mayday dog with some Grand Champion Ace up in that shit. I'm gonna always give it the credit because my dog, Brat, wasn't a Mayday dog. She was only a Mayday dog in her nuts. She was a back end hell of a stifle dog. That proves to me that she was not just a Mayday dog because not too many Mayday dogs with such an aggressive back end like Brat. Brat became successful because she was crazy. And she had a crazy attitude that made her more intense. Now you put a style of back stifle of that on her and power and strength, you know, she ran through her, she made it look easy. She really did. She made it look easy. Just like Chanel, just like May May, just like Annabelle. These are all great dogs, man. These was bitches. And, you know, it wasn't all about the males now. These was bitches doing that job too now. But you can't say that's not a pretty pedigree. It's not only a pretty pedigree, it was a pretty pedigree that got results. Jackson's 38 champion, 38 special. You know, salute to Mr. Jackson for doing such a good job there, man. You did a good job. That was a hell of a match, dog. Props goes to him. You know, that's one of those things. You know, that's growth. You know, I had a couple nice ones, you know, before I got out, walked away. One of them good dogs that I like was, I liked the brick dog. The brick dog because I had carnivore. See, carnivore was taken away when they took the dogs on my yard. They was one of the dogs that got taken away. You know what I'm saying? So that was an issue that I had. You know, that was tell you guys that was a hard one for me to swallow. Cause it took some real nice dogs off my yard, and you know, and it was basically the last of the going hard that I had to give. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go ahead and try to see if I can pull him up. Or we can take a quick look at him. You know, Brick and Carnivore. Those are two nice dogs. And I hope some of these guys on here is gonna get a chance to see. Hopefully we better take care of a little issue we had with a dog that they was talking about, and I'm gonna bring it up once I get there. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself, but I want to be able to show you guys ahead of, you know, we get to him. This is him. This dog right here, two-time winner Brick. You know, he might be a champion until I see it or hear it. You know, he's gonna be a two-time winner until I get full classifications on him. But I know I matched this dog. I matched this dog twice. This picture right here is a picture of him before he went into Missing Link. You know, he went into Missing Link. That's a picture that was taken the night before. Real good dog. 1-2 with him. 1 and 46, 40 and 20. Check the breeding out. Remember, we were just talking about that. How do you get to these match dogs? You know what I'm saying? You gotta breed good shit. Good shit. I'm gonna let y'all take a look at that for a minute there before I move it. Cause I want you to pay attention to the top. Remember, we're just talking about that Stone City shit. I was just talking about that hardcore shit. If you look at that Stone City baby, I think that is wrong because it should have been Piggy. I don't think there was baby was not part of Pooh Bear, because I had that Little May's sister here to that Nico Bear. I'm gonna go back to it, but I'm gonna show you. We had a dog named Wonder. Now there was a couple of those dogs, but I had a dog named Wonder on there, okay? And she's not on this particular one. I'll put her up later on. But as you can see, she was off of Bozak, bred the baby when that shouldn't be Stone City's baby, it should be Stone City's Piggy. The reason why I know that, because see, I had a dog off the same litter. Remember, I had Sir Kale, who was off of Yellow Buck, and Miss Nico, and I also had a dog named Little Buck. When I left Puerto Rico after the match with Grand Champion Tommy Boy, I came back with a dog, a puppy, a male out of that litter. His name was Little Buck, and I'll show you the results of what Little Buck was later down the line here. We're just gonna go back in here and let me just continue pointing this stuff out here about the brick dog. Look at that third generation. Even though the baby shit is wrong, look at that third generation. Too much work back there, fellas. I know y'all be talking, you know, not really paying attention, but man, what covered from the fourth, they come from the third to the second to the first. Now, we don't have no winners all up in the first. We have a nice one up here with Prodigy, the Diablo dog. He was definitely a hell of a dog. Okay? We got May 2. One thing we gotta remember, May 2 ain't a match dog, but one thing for damn sure we was history making. That was a very historical dog there. Why? Because not only was he one of those sons coming off of Mayday, he was Mayday's first champion daughter bred back into him. That was Mayday being bred back to Brat, created that May 2. And believe me, y'all, we worked hard to get that on the ground. You know, May 2 had a little May brother who was far better dog that I sent up there to Ohio with my boy, the one who really set me up with these dogs. I did give him a dog, the best one in the litter. His name was, they called him Earthquake. May 2's brother. He was a better match dog than May 2. May 2 didn't pass my muster as far as a match dog. Deep South could tell you different. Deep South said we could have made him a grand champion. Well, I'm not gonna argue with them because hey, shoot, they do dogs. You know what I mean? And I can't argue with that. I mean, I'm gonna take it as a hell of a compliment. But you know, he couldn't have did it on my yard. He was a great dog though. He was definitely game tested, and he was he represented what his mama was, a back end specialist. He had a big ass mouth, and he had a back end that could break your ass in half. He bit one so hard he broke their back. The dog was paralyzed. Yeah, he paralyzed him. I mean, yep, and he was a damn good dog too. They did it to. You know, Deep South, Deep South and us, we were sitting back one Saturday, we know running through our inventory like we do, and seeing one of the craziest shit that's ever happened. We seen him go up in there so deep. He went up in there so deep, man. You know, we wasn't expecting to see what he did, but he went past the stuff when he got into the back. I guess right around that back vertebrae or something. But he was so deep up in there that when he bit, the dog never was able to stand on his back again. We had to, you know, he didn't get up. He couldn't get up. He was no good. So you know, we had to get rid of him. But it was just the oddest thing that this damn dog could bite so damn hard. You know, so, you know, Deep South, you know, I commend them for calling him a match dog, but I think he was more important to me as a brood bitch, a brood dog, stud dog. See, somebody asked if I had Brat today, what would I breed her to? I would be breeding Brat to Jimmy. I would be breeding her to Blue. Champion Blue. I'll be breeding her to Jackson's 38. I'll be breeding her to all them great dogs. I'll be breeding her to Brick. Anything that it works with. I mean, I wouldn't jump outside the melting pot when I'm sitting there watching her blood. You know what I'm saying? Brick was a good dog. I had the Little Maid Carnivore. She was a one-time winner. This dog was a good dog. I mean, I like the bodies. Their bodies are built for battle. Their bodies are built for war. And there's enough match dogs in here. You can tell there's enough match dogs. There's enough match dogs in here, guys, that you can tell. You can see what I'm talking about. It's a difference when you're trying to figure it out, but it's right there in your face. And for some of y'all, the guys who on the podcast, if y'all remember the conversation we had over Pro Game Magazine about Lumpy, about somebody claiming they had Lumpy. Well, if you look on the bottom, you see there, right there at the bottom, right there. You see that right there? Crenshaw's Lumpy. You see that surprise bitch? Who's she coming off of? Gator and Lumpy. Let's go click on her. Don't that bitch got a registration number? I rest my case. There's my receipt. I told everybody, hey, how you gonna go up there and go get a dog and try to tell me something when, hey, there's the proof right there. And let me show you something else about her. Look what she produced. See what she produced? Grand Champion Yankee Boys Gator, and Champion Yankee Boys Tabby Girl, and there go Evo. That's off of May 2. Match dogs coming by way of Hammer, Y'all want to go see what Hammer look like? Let's go. We're going in and check out Hammer. Hammer was a heavy Jeep dog. Look at there. It's a good cross. But look at the breeding program, people. What I'm trying to point out is when you want to have great dogs and match dogs on your yard, you have to have that mentality to understand this is where breeding comes like such a great important thing. It's not called building pretty papers. It's called building match dogs. You want a consistency. This is the consistency to have. You know what I mean? It's got to be a consistency. You got Jeep, Red Boy. Okay, yeah, James Jones. I'm going there next, man. I'm gonna go there next, James Jones. I'm gonna take him to the Roger Powder shit when I bought that shit together. Okay, it's gonna be my next move, bro. It's coming up. But I just wanted to point out this situation here because there was a evidently controversy going around about a lumpy dog. Now I don't know about what lumpy they had, but I know when I took a partner up there to James Crenshaw's house and he came out of James Crenshaw's house with Lumpy, that bitch was full of gator puppies. And she was bred and she had puppies. He had a couple of them. As a matter of fact, you know, the same guy tried to go into me that I took up there. I actually went into one of those puppies. I went into one of those puppies with a dog off of Southern Kennels, Champion Mickey, in Hollandworth Dolly. His name was Psycho. I went into him. I had Psycho. Psycho was off of Champion Mickey, bred to Mayday's mama Dolly. He was a bad boy. You know what I'm saying? The guy that I'm talking about, I beat his 2-time winner, but I first beat his Vessel dog. He wanted to put on Pretty Mama. Pretty Mama was retired. He bought it over to my yard. He just got the dog out from Mr. Vessel over there with that solution shit, so he wanted to come check his shit out. He gonna call out Pretty Mama. Now, at the time, Pretty Mama was retired, but he was running a pit bull store, and I helped him put the store together. So, you know, I had to call my brother and get a check-in on him. Brother came by, so we gonna do it. You know, he was so hype on this dog that I don't know what he thought he was gonna do with Pretty Mama, but oh yeah, she was every bit a rough one now. Cause as soon as she went in there and grabbed Mama, she made her mad. Now I don't know whether Mama got mad because the way the dog came in there and grabbed her, or was it the fact that, you know, that we done pulled her off and she ain't been on one in such a long time, so she took advantage of the fact that it's her chance. But let me tell you something, man. Within 15 minutes, man, 15 minutes when he tried to grab his dog, my brother said, no. You, out of all the dogs here, this is who you wanted to see. Now you see you in a little trouble. Now you weren't ready to grab it. No. Let's see how good your money is. Leave it down there. Let's check out, see how good your money is. Within 22 minutes, the dog had quit. Okay? It didn't stop there. First of all, I didn't take her personal. You know, he asked for it. You know, he was a good friend, so we, you know, it ain't gonna hurt.
Free.
Yeah, then he got it for free. So you know what I'm saying? So that was the one lesson. Now one day, you know, times go by a little bit. We got Psycho. We trying to find something for Psycho. He said, "Well, I got one. We can put him on that 2-time winner." Now here he is. He wants us to try his 2-time winner. Oh, hey, we'll oblige you, but now he want to put some money on it. Hey, what the hell? Let's do this. So we're gonna put Psycho on his 2-time winner. Fellas, 15 minutes, it was over. I ain't bullshitting. I said 15 minutes, it was over. Psycho went in there and smashed that 2-time winner in 15 minutes, had him quitting in 17. Yeah, we stopped him. 17 minutes. Now this dude is having a bad day running up on Growing Hard Kennels. I mean, after twice, you would think he learned the lesson, but no, he didn't. This is the same guy, guys, that I took up to James Crenshaw's house to get this dog. He came back with Lumpy, and he came back with full of puppies off a gator, and he came back with a son of Blackjack. Now already, man, and I get him all my pictures, y'all. I had pictures of BB, Banjo, Mayday, Choice, Dragon Lady, Hunter Red, let me see, Hunter Red, Reno. When I went up to Windy City, I had all these pictures. So he had all these great dogs around the store. Helped him put the store together, got the equipment in the store. Okay, you had a little bad luck. You ran into mom and you got beat. Okay, then you go grab your 2-time winner. I ate your ass. Maybe you just need to stop fucking with your boy. You know what I mean? You steady over here trying to beat up your boy instead of working with your boy. Your boy trying to help you. I guess he didn't catch the point. This guy goes, and we match Psycho. Now, we don't know who we going into because it really didn't matter to me. No, we asked, did you bring the weight? But he's the one that set it up. You know, so he's like the third party man. You know, he's got everything in order. So when it's time to go make the moves, I ride down with him. My brother and them, they got Psycho, but I'm riding down with this dude, you know? Don't know nothing about where we going. When we get there, we get there. Okay? I go into a dog. Psycho goes into a dog. It takes us 3 hours and 17 minutes, y'all. When I say this is one of the greatest matches I've ever had in the game, this is one of my legendary matches that I think that we haven't talked about. I think needs to be talked about because that was a great dog. The people involved were want to tell the story. And I think it's a story that really needs to be told because we're going to bring them on. We're going to bring them on and let them tell you about that story. So I don't want to get too deep into it because it's a two-sided story here, okay? But the fact is, I ended up going into a dog, you know, I literally bought back down to Florida, you know, and ended up going to him. But guys, I didn't know this until after the match. One of the greatest shows, if you were there, people were going to tell you, it was one of the greatest matches that should have went down in history between two badass motherfucking dogs. When I say when you go in there, we ain't doing jeeping them sleeping for an hour, laying around and started snoring, both dogs down there chilling out. No, I'm talking about bulldogging for 230. 230. I'm talking about 30. From the time that the open scratch came out, they was going 99 miles an hour for 230. First break in the match at 230. I tried to call it a draw. Let's call it a draw. You know why? Because when I say 230, I ain't talking about no laying around at 15 or 20 minutes. One of the dogs that had to recover or they didn't hit a wall. No, if the dog would have hit the wall or tried to take a break before that 230 mark, they'd have got killed. If Stone got killed, either one of them, any one of them had light up, tried to take a break, it'd have been over. These dogs was bulldogging it. I had to see the ending. There's only one scratch in the match, guys. There's only one scratch in the match. That's the scratch to win. That scratch to win. Right there. That's the only scratch in the match. The only scratch in the match. It was only one out of hold in the whole match. And it was after the match. Because we didn't have nothing to get a hold of. A dead dog. You know? And the thing was, the dog turned around 3:15 because I think Psycho had him right there. He had him right there for like 45 minutes, guys. That was it. That's what happened. At 2:30, when I tried to get a draw, my man said no. It was a pretty close match at the time. There was nobody ahead. You know, I would have to say the Gator dog had a little more ability and he was a little faster, but we had the pace. We forced the pace to the match. Both dogs was in great condition. This was coming down to who conditioned the best. I wouldn't put it by the dog was on roids like I was because I knew the dude who run the Pit Bull store. He knew a lot of my secrets. So there was a lot of information that he got from me by just me and him being cool that he probably took down with him. They're not taking nothing away from the guys who had the dog because they came in there ready to go because they went 3 hours and 15 minutes with me. Okay? We was on that. Look, by 3 hours. Now he asking for the draw, and to me, I had already made it clear. I told you that at 2:30. I said if we didn't get them at 2:30, these dogs was not going to make it. We had 3 hours now. These dogs are not going to make it. We're going to see it through, and that's what we did. We seen it through. It was a turn in the match, but Psycho had him right there over his gristle, and he was literally sitting there crunching on it. I mean, he crunched on that motherfucker from 2:30 to 3:15. He crunched on that shit. I mean, people were going outside because there was so many mosquitoes. They were going out there to their cars to get out of the mosquitoes and coming back and saying, damn, that motherfucker still got that hold. Yes, he did still have it, and he was not letting it go. My boy couldn't get out of it. He had his foot stuck, you know, so somehow when he had him over the gristle, he had his foot caught. So the dog he could only stand on 3 legs because the foot was stuck between the hold the cycle had on him in his nose, and he couldn't get his paw down. And if he tried to bite something, he'd be biting his own leg. So he was in a real fucked up position for quite some time until he got frustrated. He got frustrated, and I'm sending Psych in. I'm psyching him out. Psych starting to snatch and skull drag his ass now, and then we get the turn. The only turn in the match. The dude did a hell of a handle to be able to get his dog out of that hold when Psycho went to finally come off that hold to go out and go in there for the kill. The boy made a hell of a handle, but it was a little too late. You know, too much of the dog was gone. When it came his turn to scratch, he didn't scratch. He got counted out. Well, I wouldn't even say he got counted out. He wasn't able to scratch. There's a difference between a dog standing there, you know what I'm saying, and standing there and you got a chance to go and you don't go, compared to a dog that when you let him go, he took 2 steps out and splat. That's what he did. He took 2 steps out and splat. Now, I don't call that quitting. He couldn't go. He didn't make it. And it was good enough to go ahead and let us scratch for our money. You know what I mean? Scratch and win was the name of the game. We went over there and got our money, and they'll tell you that scratch he came across that box at 317 like a dog who just started the match, 99 miles an hour. But he took a lot of damage. Both dogs did, you know, and both dogs in the end, they both died. Now, up to this point, guys, I do not have no idea that this dog that I went into was this dog's littermate brother. Only one that knew that was the guy who had these puppies. Yeah, the dude that set all this up was setting me up into going into one of them puppies. That was surprising. It was a littermate brother that we went into. So for somebody to sit there and say they had a lumpy, let me go back to the surprise one more time. What do y'all see right here, fellas? Now, if anybody claimed they had a lumpy, that's like a registration number. Remember I told you I had the dog's pedigree. I was sitting there reading her pedigree the whole time, riding back from James' house. He had the big sheet. The big sheet. So there was a controversy about who had lumpy, and even a little smart ass remark where there was 2 lumpies. It sure was. Somebody had the wrong one and somebody had the right one. And as you can tell, we had the right one. We had the right one. Evidence speaks for itself. We had the right one. Bred to May 2. We had the right one. Brick. Carnivore. You see her? 2 good dogs. Let me see if I can find her. There she go. That was Carnivore. Now, I got her papers. Now, why wouldn't I not have papers on her? You see what I'm saying? Every dog on my yard was an ADBA registered dog. So we ain't gonna have them controversies over here in my house, because if you can't bring no receipts, you're lying. We ain't hear that shit. It might sound good on somebody else's podcast, but when you get gotten jammed up, man, what do you got to say for yourself? Who do we look at? Do we look at the clown for creating a lie, or the clown who's carrying the lie? You know, I'm not having all that shit over here of mine. You know, it should have been not where it was, but it was brought to my attention, and I had to address it in a way that I addressed it for those who know what I'm talking about. You know, Lumpy was clearly on our, she was the dog that I bought from James Crenshaw house. There's no way in the fuck somebody went up there to James Crenshaw house and bought Lumpy out that house if I already had her. And based on the paperwork and the results that y'all see, that shouldn't be a question anymore. Okay, guys, let me go back in here and like I was saying, that shouldn't be a question. Now, somebody was talking about Buck Rogers and the powder move. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get that one up for you. I got to go back over here and get that cross. I got to go back to the little Mayday, Brat's brother. Give me a hot second here. All right, y'all. This is not Brat now. This is Brat's little May brother, little Mayday. Everybody know the Brat breeding. We ain't got to stay on that long. We're just gonna go to the offspring. There was only 2 dogs in that litter, Menace and Sassy Girl. Now already we done seen 2 champions off of the Menace side of it. 2 champions. That means we're talking about 2 champions coming by way of the Menace blood off of Little Mayday. And remember what I told you? I said Little Mayday's son Menace was cold. He was a chocolate dog. And if you notice the dogs in the line that I'm talking about, man, those dogs were chocolate. So not only did they carry that chocolate trait, they carried a trait that was very important because even though they was cold dogs, they were throwing match dogs. That Menace dog was a hell of a producer. He was throwing match dogs. I had Sassy Girl. That's Sassy Girl. One of her best litters is when I took her, and I'm going to show it to you. That's Sassy Girl. That's how she's bred. Off a Little Mayday, bred to that going hard yellow Apache bitch. Off a Tance Bruiser and Jackson's Hooker Red. Still heavy yellow Jeep cross, y'all. I asked somebody one day, I took this Pedigree and I went on a Jeep group and put this Pedigree on their group, and the question I asked was, does this dog have a Jeep cross? I'm gonna ask you guys. I'm not asking you, is this a Jeep Lion? I'm asking you, does this dog have a Jeep cross in it? I'm just asking. Does this dog have a Jeep cross in it? You would be surprised, guys, of the shit that I heard. And some of these guys claim to be real dog men. Some of these guys claim to been doing dogs for years. Yet you got, maybe they took the question as a rookie question because their answer was meant for a rookie. You know what I mean? I think what they didn't know was I already knew the answer. I already knew the answer. You know what I mean? But maybe they didn't think I knew the answer because the answer that I was getting from them was totally ridiculous. I'm just going to go and do one quick move before I move on. We already know about Charlie. It's Jeep's brother. Okay? But there's so much Jeep. There was so much Jeep and Honey Bunch in this shit that we had enough. We got Jeep and the Little May sister and Charlie. Jeep, Little May sister, and Charlie. That's 3 Jeep dogs, 3 Honey Bunch dogs, and 1 Pedigree. 1 Pedigree. And you're going to tell me there's not a Jeep cross in this dog? That was my question. If I'd have said Honey Bunch, they would have got the same goddamn answer, y'all. Trust me. I could have said Honey Bunch. No, they were hollering, oh, it's yellow, yellow. I didn't say about the line. I said a cross. For guys that don't understand what cross and line mean, there's a difference between the two. A line is like this yellow line here. There's a whole bunch of yellow Jocko dogs in here, so that would be called a yellow Jocko line. But when I add Jeep, that's a Jeep. What am I adding? I'm adding some salt. So I'm crossing my food into sprinkling some salt on it. That means I'm adding a cross of salt. So that by adding Jeep, I'm adding a cross to my line. I mean, who wants to argue? Who wants to argue and watch these guys get literally all because they thought they had a rookie asking a rookie question when there was a goddamn pure dog man, seasoned dog man asking a real question. Y'all wouldn't believe the answers that I got. I even got a couple of them out of some guys that should have knew better. Should have knew better. Right, you're right. They only read the 4 because they don't know nothing past the 4. Real old-fashioned dog men know that we start from the back of a pedigree to the front. If you know what a pedigree is and you know you've seen enough of them, we know what's back there between 8, 7, 6, 5. We know what's back there. So when we look at it, we see the familiar dogs that we can say, hey, just by looking at it, I can see a G cross. Just by looking at it, I can see the G cross there. Looking at Crystal and all them other dogs, I could have seen the G cross when I saw Charlie. I could have called it a honey bunch, but if y'all couldn't understand the honey bunch part, you was still lost. You know, that was the issue that I had with a lot of those guys. They was definitely lost on that one. I'm gonna go back to that one. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up the breeding that they were all talking about. I'm gonna go to Buck Rogers. Buck Rogers was a very exceptional dog. I have to give it to him. But I think the best thing I ever done was when that's Buck Rogers. Look at that big old long 40-pounder, y'all. He was a 40, 41-pounder. He was definitely something special. He was that bulldog. He was. You know, unfortunate things happened while we couldn't get this smackdown because our next match we was gonna go after Kunta. That was our ideal match. Some odd reason he got bit by a snake. He got bit by a snake. He probably went out there and tried to go after the motherfucker, and the motherfucker bit him. He killed a raccoon one day, just before his second match. He killed a raccoon and ate the motherfucker. You know, my wife couldn't get it away from him, and I had problems trying to get it away from him. And it turned out where we had a real bad situation as far as dumping him from the carcass that he had ate by the time I got home and got it away from him.
Why is he showing up still talking?
That far behind.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna go into the little buck stuff. Remember the dog I told you I bought back from Puerto Rico? I wanted to show you this breeding. You know, from the little buck cross. You put a little buck breed. Jesse gave me. I bought this dog when I put Red Ace down, and I'll go into that story on another time because that's a good time to go into. I want to go into the Tommy Boy story, but I won't do it tonight. But I'll just tell you when I left Puerto Rico, I came there with Puerto Rico. I left with a dog. Came with a dog, and I left with one. This dog here, going hard, little buck. He sold me that dog. Best dog I could have got out of Jesse, man. I love that dog. The dog was a great producer. I bred him to Yellow Apache. After we went back down to May to breed to him again, this time I took her and Brat down there to breed to Mayday. Brat got sick with Babesia. Victor took her on overseas. Apache didn't show no signs of the Babesia until I got her home. And she really didn't show them then. When we thought she was pregnant, we wondered why she didn't get pregnant. There was another breeding to Mayday that we didn't have puppies. We didn't have puppies off of Brat at the time, and we didn't have none off of Apache on the second breeding to Mayday. So when we bred Little Buck, we bred Little Buck to Sassy, and this is when she was Sassy girl was already pregnant. Then we took Little Buck and bred to Sassy's mother, and he caught the Babesia from her. He caught Babesia from her, and it took us like 90 days before we realized that he had Babesia, and both of them ended up dying from Babesia. That's how we lost Little Buck, but he did have a litter. He had one litter, and that was that litter when he bred the sassy girl. And that's where Little Buck come from. Now they had some litter mates. They had a couple litter mates. Bucko, he ended up down in Arizona, I think. It was I know he lived a great life. And I put it like this, there were 6 puppies. And these were the first Mayday cross right here. This is the first cross that was ever done before Stone City and Mayday ever made a breeding. This is the breeding Jesse would tell you because he saw these puppies when they were puppies. Jesse was mad that we bred Little Buck into our Mayday shit, but it's my dog. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want with my shit. But I was the first one this is the first breeding when we took a Stone City dog and bred back into the Mayday dogs. And then when Jesse and Big Mike saw these dogs as puppies, 10-week-old puppies, Jesse and them saw these dogs. We need a little help, but we did all 6 dogs that day. All 6 dogs we did that day. All 6. It's great breeding right there. Now, the breeding that my man was talking about is when we crossed Buck Rogers, we bred him to Powder. Let me explain y'all who Powder is first before I get into that. Powder was bred off of Beetlejuice and Champion Pretty Mama. I want y'all to look at that cross right there for a minute before I move forward. We already know the Pretty Mama bottom side, but look at the Beetlejuice. Coming off of All Whim, both Mama and Daddy, Mama Champion, coming off of All Whim, coming off of several All Whims. Look at that top side. And what I do, I turn around and bred right back into that Rare Boy shit, but not all Rare Boy. And don't forget that bottom side right down there, that Miss Kitty. Remember all that? We seen Shelby Fields Buddy, Grand Champion Art, Grand Champion Zebo. It ain't all Rare Boy back there. All the right shit, if you notice. All my dogs carry that right shit. Look at the pedigree, look how it's set up. Match dogs produce match dogs. And Powder produced in one breeding. In one breeding, she produced nothing but winners for us. I'm gonna go to Pharaoh. I'm gonna start with Pharaoh. He was a good one. He ended up being a 2-time winner. Let me go back. I'm gonna go back to 2. I think he's got a picture of him. There you go. That's Pharaoh. If you notice, all our dogs look alike. They're gonna be red looking like Brad, they're gonna be looking like this shit here. Nice bodies because we love bodies. Nice confirmation. 1-time winner, he won at 40. He won the second at 15. Hour 15. And each one of those kennels, I'll go back through and I'll go back there. I know one of them was Kirkland. And I think the other one was Divine. But he beat 2 big kennels in good fashion. Nice breed right there. Yeah, I took the Stone City shit. Same thing with Surprise. If y'all remember the Surprise breeding that created Brick in them, it's almost the exact same breeding. The concept. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit more time to take a look at it before we move up. But he was a hell of a dog. He had a littermate brother. He had a littermate brother. We had him, Roger Ramjet. Another 2-time winner. That's his brother. First time I did him at, I bought him in at 40. The guy paid the forfeit, coming there at 46, 47. I did it anyway. I ended up picking him up. Made a lot of my friends mad at me, but you know, I didn't want to race to keep. He sure didn't lose. He didn't get stopped. That's for damn sure. Scratched the hell out of him. He was gonna scratch all night if it took him to kill him. Very game dog. Very nice dog. And the dog that had a litter off of him bred the sassy girl's daughter. And there was 8 puppies. I'm trying to tell you, I had a backyard full of the coming. And they took them all and killed every one of them. But again, this is the Ramjet. Same cross as Sparrow. It just, if you notice, good dogs. And then he had 10-4. This is 10-4. Now, take a look at 10-4. It look a little rough, huh? Well, 10-4 lost going for number 3. And instead of his owner picking him up, you know, you can beat a dog up so bad. You know what I mean? To me, I would say he took a 10 count, but he took a 10 count laying on the floor. He didn't take a 10 count standing up. He took a 10 count laying on the floor. He took a lot of damage. He took a lot of damage because maybe, I don't know what the guy was thinking. Maybe he thought the dog would probably quit and walk away from him. He walked away from his dog and let his dog just, you know, his dog, he lived. He lived. We put him back together, but he did lose.
See what happened to the Beetlejuice blood. Let me get the camera.
You know, so.
They said, what happened to the Beetlejuice blood?
Yeah, well, he was. All of them was well built. All of them was well built. They all them dogs. Once you muscle them up, you know, he was. I think that, you know, if he had stayed on my yard, we probably could have made him a champion. It's just that he was one of the first ones to go. And the only reason Roger Ramjet was still on my yard was because,
I wouldn't let you get rid of it.
yeah, I wouldn't let him get rid of it. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, City. That's the one I'm talking about. That's the only one he lost. I didn't see him lose twice. I know he lost that once, and he ended up in, he lost that one, and a boy up in, I think, PA ended up with him. Right, you're right. That's right. Right, that's the guy who, but he ended up in Philadelphia. Yeah, the dude, Ace, that was Bird, his brother. I'd rather go out laying down or standing up. Right, you know it. You know, he didn't take care of him. He let him, you know, that dog took a lot of damage. A lot of damage. But yep, that's how he did lose. You didn't hear me say, I ain't trying to speak up on him. He did lose. But he was a good dog. He was a nice dog. But that was 3. Look, she only had 4 puppies. She only had 4 puppies. She only had 4 puppies. The other one was a female, Buck Wild. That's the litter mate, looking like Pretty Mama there. Nice little female. Never could get nothing out of her. We bred her. We actually put her down, and she caught babesia on a dog that we rode her on. We had just got her back. I hadn't even had her a good 6 months. And we went testing her, and the dog that she was on, she got, we picked up babesia from her. And remember, guys, this was during a time that I had to, look, the babesia was hitting me so bad, I had to learn a solution to the shit. So when everybody was, you know, calling me from all over the country, Because they said Twin had the solution to the Babesia. I had learned a hell of a bad lesson with Babesia, man. I lost some hellified dogs by the time I got the, learning that secret to, the Babesia game. But Wild died, that dog right there, she died from Babesia. But she looked just like Mama, and she was a hell of a bulldog, had a hell of a mouth. She had a lot of mouth. But she looks like old Pretty Mama. But you see the cross in her. I did the whole going hard concept was right there. Red Boy, G, and Patrick. Good crosses, man. That keeps me busy. Keeps me busy. So, them were good crosses, guys. I mean, that's what going hard was about. We did have some good ones. I think they're in here. I never really pulled my could bees up. I had a lot of would bees. One of them would be my crosses with Twisted. Those were good crosses. I enjoyed those. That was a good cross. I'll go see if I can pull that one up. That was a good one. The Twisted breeding was a real nice breeding. We bred Twisted to Naya, another Bozak dog. Let me see if I can get them up. Those are good dogs. I'll be right with you, fellas. Let me see if I can get him up. Okay, I found Naya. One Naya on that one. Let's see, I gotta go in here to mine. Yeah, fellas, hold on, man. I'm trying to find this little pedigree right quick, fellas, while I'm doing that. I got away from talking to y'all for a second, but just give me a hot second here. Let me pull this stuff back up here for me, man. Yeah, and them pedigrees, man, good dogs, where you find them at, man. It's how you put it together. That's the key. It's how you put it together. That's the key. If you can't see it as you putting it down, you gotta, it's not gonna work for you. I said, if you don't put the right dogs where you gotta see it. We were making real selective breedings, man, and when they were good breedings, but they were selective. You know what I'm saying? And that was the key to our success with them. You know what I mean? Okay, I got him right here. That was a real important thing, man, when we come to breeding our dogs, man. We didn't breed game dogs. We tried to breed match dogs. I think Maytu was probably one of the only dogs that was not matched that got bred. Not taking nothing away from all the dogs that we didn't breed. I'm just saying that, Maytu was probably one of the only dogs that I bred, that wasn't a match dog. Okay, this is Twisted. And I'm trying to find Twisted Nico here. Okay, guys, found him. That's Twisted Nico right here, guys. Twisted Nico was He was one of the last. It was the last few dogs. I sold the dog. I got out of the dogs in 2004. Twisted Nico, the shit. These were dogs that I had on the yard. If I was still in the game, these was my upcoming dogs. But they were the last dogs that I sold on my yard because they was the best dogs on my yard. They were match dogs. And Prime Time bought both of them. He told him, man, these are the best thing I got on my yard. And look, I give all the credit to Prime Time for making a good. He did a good job. He matched both of these dogs. The way he got played out of the when I get to the shit, we'll go over that one. But they played him. But this is how he was bred. His name was Twisted Nico. He was a 2-time winner. He was hard on things too. He liked to tear up shit too. But you know, he probably could have been a grand champion if he had kept his teeth. You know, he lost a lot of his hardware. But check out his breeding. Again, Stone City. Bred into some Bozak stuff. We're already seeing the Bozak stuff work in a couple of dogs. We didn't see how that worked. It works. And then you got Lupe, you got Heavy Jeep, and Mayday. I mean, can anybody see the Jeep cross? I mean, for old school guys, you see it right off the back. But if I was to just come out and say, hey guys, does this dog have a Jeep cross?
Back to the camera, let me say something to you about the back foot.
Brother, you know I'm up in here, baby. You know I'm up in here. You know I'm up in here. You know, number one, doing the thing over here, keeping things steady for y'all. I ain't gonna be left out. Don't get that. Hey, look here. I'm still number one. There it is. There's look at twin two. Twin one, okay. I'm twin two, guys. Twin one is my second. So twin one, his job is to make sure that my job gets done well. He makes sure everything is done easy for me. He's the one that made this stuff together. He wouldn't come on unless he had it the way he wanted it. You know, he wants it to be good. He's a very important part of what made going hard. That's for damn sure. We got a lot more stories to tell. That's for sure. Okay, let's get back over here to Twisted Nico. I just wanted you guys to represent the pedigree. You know, more going hard shit here. If you can recognize, if I said, does this dog have a Jeep cross in him? You know, like again, I'd say most guys would say, yeah, if you knew the cross. But then most guys will look and see all that yellow and say, okay, I see some rascal, but the Jeep cross was right here. That's what you call Jeep Rascal Cross right there. If you notice, every one of my dogs got a little touch of that shit in them. Everybody who run out there and add a little touch, guys, I wish I could see these pedigrees and go back down through there and just study them. Study them. Because you want to have a badass kennel, man. You know, I ain't trying to take home the Einstein Award. But I'm going to tell you what, damn thing. I'm going to take home the goddamn Best Listener Award. Because I heard enough that where, you know, you see, I'm on my own line. I'm going to do my own thing. Well, I thought I was doing my own thing. When I created the Going Hard Cross, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell y'all something. I created this by following a pattern that I saw. I was smart enough to look at a pattern that was working and smart enough to get into that pattern and make it work for me. That's what I did. I found a pattern that worked, looked at it, and if you can grab it, and if you notice, guys, all these dogs are kind of bred just alike. They're all bred kind of just alike. This bitch right here, the shit, let me tell y'all something, man. She would have been just as famous as the brat. And somewhere out there, y'all, where they claim that they, you know, Missing Link Missing Link did all three of those dogs. Now, the time that they're doing this, y'all, I didn't already beat them. I didn't beat Missing Link in there with Brick. Keep in mind now, this was all around the same time just before I got out. I didn't already beat Missing Link. I beat Missing Link with Brick. Okay? Now, these boys, Primetime and them, they giving these dogs, yes, they gave Twisted Nico in the shit. Missing Link conditioned them dogs for their first matches. You know, maybe Twisted Nico's second match, but I know Missing Link done both the dogs. Okay, now the shit, a hard biting bitch. She was every bit the shit, y'all. The bitch had a career. And I'm telling you, she was one of them brats. She wasn't even a brat. She was a pandy. A pandy. I mean, she bit so goddamn hard and was so decisive on getting your ass out of there. She just knew her mind would just bite you down. You ain't gonna get in there and try to battle with her, because the more you try to battle, the more she gonna just bite you down. And believe me, I seen it before she left the yard. And like I said, those two were the last match dogs that I had on my yard outside of Roger, and I didn't let him go because he had been gone and back. So he was never gonna go again. But these two here, I told him, man, he had some winners. Now, the funny thing about it, they go back to Missing Link to go and have her condition. They're gonna condition her for number 2. Now, keep in mind now, I ain't saying nothing bad about Ulysses and Missing Link, but you know they run together. You know what I mean? And it was already bad enough that, you know, they just seen Brick. Now they seeing these motherfuckers. So, well, behold, 2 weeks after they go and take the shit in her conditioning, she supposedly died. You know, it says it right there. You know, they said she died during the keep, but nobody, no picture, no phone call saying, man, here's a picture of your bitch, man. She died during the keep. No, she just died. Nobody. No, my bitch died tonight, goddammit. You better be taking a picture showing me a dead bitch. I mean, for real. You better show me a dead bitch with my motherfucking dog. But no, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. That bitch is probably in Puerto Rico. More than 90% of the badass bitches is running around there biting shit to the bone. It's coming off of that bitch. Coming off of that bitch. That bitch was just as rough as Brat and Red Ace. That's why she had to name the shit. I named her the shit. I was going to make that word, the shit, was going to be the shit out there, y'all. Because the shit, I'll let Primetime tell you. Here come on. You know, but yeah, he had 2 good dogs. You know, and I think Mr. Lincoln them took those dogs and they took them somewhere, and they're probably out there breeding those dogs. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we got to, look, man, y'all got the podcast, fellas. Y'all got the podcast. Y'all know where all the great guys is. All right? Before I get off of this mic tonight, I'm going to put my number out there. This is going to be a phone number, man, that you can have all those guys call me. See, I'm not going to be just bringing people on, just jacking on the phone, man. I want to bring these people on. I want to bring their pedigrees up. I want to bring the pictures of their dogs up. We want to hear about their match history, where their mind was when they bought the dog, where their mind was when they conditioned the dog. I want to hear that kind of shit. So, you know, you got these guys out here. You got guys out here that got old journals and got reports in there, man. Let's bring all that stuff to the table, man. Let's sit down and talk dog with that shit, because that shit's going to be interesting. We're going to have Talk Shit Tuesdays. Talk Shit Tuesdays? Talk Shit Tuesdays, this what it means. We're going to talk shit about some of this bullshit out here. We're going to talk about some shit out here in the game. We're going to have featured dogs, y'all. We're going to have 4 featured dogs a month. Every week, we're going to have a dog featured. At the end of the month, we're going to have you guys pick the dog of the month. With that dog of the month, that dog gets he's going to get a cash app. Y'all going to help us do this, man. We need all y'all support. We're going to have our own little thing, dog of the month. We're going to have us a dog of the month. And we're going to take 4 dogs, and at the end of the month, we're going to make this dog the dog of the following month. He's going to be the featured dog again, because he's going to be the dog of the month. But every week, we want to feature a dog. So, guys, if you got a champion or a grand champion or registered merit out there, hey, bring them to the table, man. Let's put them up on the screen. Let us feature them. It's got to come through us. We have to all agree. You know what I mean? We have to agree. And we're going to do a story about the dog, and we'll feature him on our show. And we'll talk about it. You know? Hey, the doors is open. We need you guys. We want to broadcast. This is all about you guys. You know, and it's very important that you guys join in with me. Give me a chance here, man. While I'm doing that, there's one more dog that I want to stand and give a shout out to. And I almost forgot about him. But I had to bring him up to the table because he deserves it. And I don't know if I got the right pedigree on him. I think I got the right pedigree on him. But this is I wanted 2 dogs that I didn't speak on. Number 1, this dog right here. Hold on 1 second here. He's a good dog, man. And like I said, don't get mad if I'm wrong on the pedigree, but I think I'm not. I might be wrong on the kennel, but I think I'm not. But I know this dog deserves my shout out today, and I'm going to give it to him because I was naming all these other dogs in my line that was still out there, and this is the newest one that I want to take a big shout out to. Champion Blue. Like I said, I was wrong here about the pedigree, but I don't think it's the pedigree growing. I might have had a kennel, but I know this Champion Blue, this is my salute for the night. You know, I showed you all the other winners. But again, I'm pointing out that one thing I was pointing out. Look at that cross. Look at the breeding. Look at the breeding, guys. We're back to that Maytu, all that heavy Maytu again. We got all that heavy Maytu. Look at the breeding. Yeah, good second, man. See, my second had to help me out there. This, you know, y'all didn't even see it happen. There you go, fellas. Sorry about that. Hey, look at that breeding, man. I'll give y'all a second to look that thing over right quick. That dog was triple bred Maytu at the bottom. Triple bred Maytu. Got some of the best dogs up in there. Look at that shit. Good bred dogs on the top. Look at the familiar dogs from Kunta on down. Backstreet Champion Candy. You know what I mean? Look at that. Mr. Link got some semen up a little John. And then you got all that heavy Mayday and going hard shit at the bottom. You know, after all that breeding, it becomes Gainesville shit then, you know what I mean? But every one of them dogs is going hard dogs. So I'm gonna tell you like it is. Hats off to Gainesville. Keep the power moving, baby. Salute. Salute. I have to give my shout out to that dog right there. Good dog right there. I just had to put that in there, fellas. I just had to give you that one. I had to give you that one. You know what I mean? I had to give you that one. Yeah, I had to give you that one. You know, now when I was talking about the other champion, I'm gonna go shoot through him right quick. You know, Bebe. You know, we didn't bring Bebe into the picture. You know, we didn't really say much about Bebe. We said a lot about Buck Rogers, but we didn't say much about Bebe. So I'm gonna scan down there Bebe before I leave. Okay, and then we're gonna go and hit the Bebe. So everybody get a chance to see Bebe. Registered Mayor Bebe. That was Buck Rogers' Little May's sister. Still, well, that's Stone City shit. Stone City Mayday Cross. Stone City Mayday Cross. Stone City Mayday Cross, fellas. All right, now, fellas, we're coming down to the end. That's why I'm just going to do quick shout-outs here. Letting you know, man, this is what we're showing you. Good dog there. Another good dog, I have to give it to you. Let me go in there and pull my champions out as I'm going out. Don't forget champion Weather Day. Weather Day was another one off of May 2. Don't forget May 2 again. A 34-pounder. She was out there on the West Coast, guys. Ain't nobody go by at 30. She didn't never make it to 30 minutes. A guy went to work one day and said he came back, 3 or 4 of his dogs was missing, and she was one of them. Coming by way of Mayday. Little Mayday. Off of May 2. I'm sorry, May 2. But look at that cross. Guys, remember these names so when y'all get a chance and y'all want to sit down and do these pedigrees, one thing y'all notice in common, man, in all my breedings, man, I kept matched dogs up front. I kept searching and making the combination. And Gainesville and all them other guys out there who followed that pattern got success. Hey, I'm not going to take nothing away from them. I'm not going to take nothing away from them. Elrod. Another hard biter. Don't know much about him, but hey, Latin Force had the daddy. They bought Bebe, took her up to Virginia. Another good cross, Heavy Mayday. Heavy Mayday with the goddamn Stone City backup, man. The shit works. You're putting matched dogs. This shit's supposed to do exactly what you see the results are. The results are going to be the same. Nice, powerful, strong, stable dogs. Still another litter off of Bebe. All right, fellas. I'm coming down close to the end now. Remember what I told you, man. I think our next show is going to be Friday. Friday at 8 o'clock, we're going to go over some stuff. I'm going to put my number down. This is going to be what they call the dog hotline. I mean, guys that you know, some of the old dog men, look, man, I'm going to invite them. I want you to invite them to me. Ours is going to be a little different. I want them to come on the show, but I want my show to be organized. I want to see the dogs you're talking about. I want to see your champion on the screen when you're sitting up there going over his matches. I want to see his pedigree and see what he was bred like. Was he a one-time, could he produce? Or can we all look at him and say, well, he might have been a hell of a match dog, but based on his pedigree, we make our own decisions. He might be able to, and then we sit back and we watch to see the results. But let's enjoy the fun. Let's enjoy the fun, man. Hey, look, man, I salute all you guys for coming out here. I'm not trying to share my time with Pro Magazine, Game Magazine, man, because we family. I'm trying to share this time, man, with you and them. I'm going to always continue to be a Program Magazine reporter, part of that, man. But, I want to be more. I'm a dog man. I got dogs. I match dogs. There's a difference between me and them. I've been there. I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that history. I'm a part of that legacy, a real legacy. And I want to invite you guys to be a part of my legacy and enjoy the ride, man, as we go back down through here and create this journey. And this is Twin One right here, my second. Twin One right here. All day, man. All day, baby. And this is Twin Two. Yo, nigga, man. Come back and see me Friday, man. And we'll continue this journey together, man. Don't forget, guys, we always scratch the win. We always scratch the win. Don't never let them change. We'll always scratch the win. Good night, brothers, and salute. How'd I do, man? Yeah.